Can you see the screen there?
Diana King
and Shy Guy. Good morning to you. It's just coming up to 9 o'clock.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
Yeah, it's kind of got a summer vibe to it, you know. And that nice wet weather we have.
Beautiful, cold, wet weather.
Yeah, how are you?
Fine.
How was your journey to work this
I
morning?
was in someone's house there the other day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's unusual or not, but they had a waste bin in the front room, sitting room.
Right.
Have you got a
and
bin?
See, you might have young children. You see,
No,
or
I'm not
nappies
judging.
and stuff. No?
It's just I'd never seen it before. No, it wasn't a nappy bin. It was an actual bin in the front room.
Right.
And I just had never seen one before.
I think anything's possible, right? Because if you came into...
Do you have a bin in your front room?
If you came into our house, there's bits of stuff everywhere.
Bits, and I know what you're on about.
There's toys and there's stuff where it shouldn't be stuff.
But this was, like a bin you have in the kitchen?
Aye.
Just for rubbish, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. But stop making out I'm judging. I'm not judging.
Did you not ask the question?
No, I didn't.
See, what's the crack with the bin in the room?
I just thought I'd ask.
But you could not make it.
Caroline, do you have a waste bin in your front room, living room? Do you have a waste bin in your front room or living room? No, for rubbish, no.
No, see this person's house that you went to.
Beautiful.
They made a lovely, nice cup of tea for you and a biscuit or something.
Stop trying to make out I'm being critical or
not
judging.
Being critical.
I just hadn't
just
seen
hold
it
your tongue now a minute. But then that person's you're chatting about. He's chatting about our bin in our living room.
Yeah, well, I'll just worry about that the next time I see them.
That's all right.
But you don't have one. I know we have different situations and different receptacles and all that kind of stuff.
It was the big one, or like a wee waste paper bin.
Just like a wee circular bin.
Maybe they have the cold and they have lots of tissues.
No,
looking for
just a regular. It was just they have a bin in the.
Do they scrape their food into the bin?
I didn't ask.
What was it? What size is it?
Anyway,
keep it on the bin.
It was interesting. That's all.
Do you remember the dusty bin? No,
I do.
I
bet you can't remember the man who's.
What was it? You did that 3, 2, 1.
You can't remember his name.
No, I can't.
Ted Rogers.
Yeah, you're showing your age now, Daddy.
All right, go on. Get out of here, Lee Gooch. Mind the roads, actually. It's quite wet and horrible and dark out there today for driving. All right, it's 9 o'clock, a minute past, in fact. Let's get a news update. It's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Taoiseach says he has huge sympathy for the Palestinian people, who he says have been horribly treated for 75 years. His comments come as British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak arrives in Israel for talks with his Israeli counterpart. Leo Varadkar reiterated the Irish government's call for Israel to de-escalate its response in Gaza. He says people should be careful about what they hear from both sides in the conflict.
I think Israel is a great country. I've had a chance to visit it on a number of occasions, but I've huge sympathy for the Palestinian people. They've been horribly treated now for 75 years and denied self-determination and denied their own state. And I think Irish people, given our own history, have a particular sympathy towards Palestinians. But, we have to be very careful about what we believe here, because this is a war. Israel will not necessarily tell the truth or the whole truth, nor will Hamas.
Well, over 300 Irish troops are entering their final phase of training before being deployed to South Lebanon. Members of the 123rd Infantry Battalion will join up with United Nations Interim Force next month as the conflict between neighbouring Israel and Hamas continues. Lebanon has said continued aggression against Gaza could spark fire that could consume the whole region. Security and defence analyst Declan Power says it's a volatile situation.
In a heightened time of tension with attacks going on between the two protagonists, you could have a variety of attacks, from civilians looking to attack troops on patrol, to shelling of their positions or shelling near their positions, or direct attacks by Hezbollah.
Police investigating the disappearance of a County Derry man have located a body. 21-year-old Lee Johnston was last seen on October the 7th in the Dunmore Crescent area of Cookstown in Tyrone. A body has been located in the McArt area of County Derry. Officers remain at the scene this morning. A 31-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man arrested following Lee's disappearance were bailed on Tuesday night to allow for further inquiries. Meanwhile, police in Derry are investigating a pipe bomb attack last night as a possible sectarian hate crime. A woman in her 20s was inside a house in Heron Way when the device was partially exploded at the back door at around 11:30. She wasn't injured, however damage was caused to the door. A number of nearby homes were evacuated for a time while police and army technical officers examined the scene. Detectives at Strand Road are keen to hear from anyone with information regarding the incident or who may have captured any footage in the area last evening. Finally, for weather, rather cloudy and damp this morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Rain will gradually clear during the day with some bright spells and a few showers developing with highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website at highlandradio.com. Good morning.
Your flu and COVID-19 vaccines will give your immune system the top-up it needs to help protect you from serious illness. A flu vaccine is recommended for you if you're 65 or over. A COVID-19 autumn booster is recommended for you if you're 50 or over. Both vaccines are recommended for healthcare workers and anyone who is pregnant or has a long-term health condition. Talk to a participating GP or pharmacist or visit hsc.ie for more. From the HSC.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. Just turned 5 minutes past 9 on this wet, miserable Thursday, the 19th of October 2023. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're well and safe and as happy as you can be and on board for the next 3 hours here on the 9 till noon show. Some really interesting guests. Pat McArt will be joining us a little later on to discuss his new memoirs that are out. Pat McArt, very well known, of course, and a very regular guest on this show and its predecessor. So looking forward to a good chat with Pat. Mark McSharry's going to come on and we'll tease out why he decided to quit politics. He's not standing in the next election. And there's so much more besides, all on top of that. So please stay tuned with us, 086 60 25,000. Get involved in that conversation, 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And emails to comments at highlandradio.com. And if you want to watch the show and the majority of our guests, hop on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, or across your mobile devices. We're on Facebook as well, of course, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport. Right, so no excuses today. Radio, not going to become a regular feature at the start of the show, by the way, but obviously day 2 of the lights around Letterkenny since they were switched on at Polestar. If you're coming up the mountaintop and you're sitting in that traffic, it's not changed. I know it's a nightmare. And if you're outside Letterkenny, you're wondering what's he on about. But if you travel like the many tens of thousands that do through the Polestar roundabout, I'm just saying, and in fairness, I thought it only fair to say that things seem to be moving a little bit more smoothly today. Now, I don't know if people are delaying their journeys, there's less cars on the road, or they're using alternative routes, but from my experience, people tend not to do that into the long term. This morning seems to be moving better because they're being calibrated and adjusted as we go. Is that your experience? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Okay. The Tyrconnell Tribune this morning, there was a tense standoff in a Fianna Fáil meeting on Monday night in Kerrykiel, we're told, when Minister Charlie McConalogue was asked what progress he had made on a promise to organise a meeting with the Health Minister to discuss the serious funding deficit at Letterkenny University Hospital. McConalogue was in a party meeting in the village when Dr. Padraig McGuinness, who was a guest on this show the start of last week and really got the ball rolling on this medics highlighting the LUH situation, when Dr. Padraig McGuinness, I beg your pardon, from the Fanet Health Centre dropped in to ask the Minister what progress had been made on his promise last Thursday to get Minister Donnelly to visit LUH. McConalogue denied he made a promise. And as the party members watched on, we were told there was silence as the scene was set for what was described as a fraught conversation with the minister, who was put under a lot of pressure to deliver. McGuinness said he was merely wanting a response from Minister McConalogue about when the health minister was going to come to LUH, and he stated that McConalogue had made the promise and he wanted to make that very clear. Otherwise, he would not have any reason to seek answers from the minister. McConalogue was told by Dr. McGuinness that a conference call on Zoom or having the meeting in Dublin was not going to suffice, and he said that the Minister for Health would have to visit LUH and see the problems firsthand. Numbers of those at the meeting said the exchanges were robust and tense, with both parties taking opposite views and no ground was given. There were sharp exchanges and big differences of views. We are not used to these debates at our meetings in Kerrykiel, added one of our sources who was present. On Tuesday, the GP's group confirmed that they had secured a meeting with Minister Donnelly. However, the terms and locations are to be confirmed. The doctors want the Minister to travel to Donegal and to meet them here. We heard from people close to the Minister yesterday that he is looking to meet them next week, but he wants to meet them remotely or down in Dublin. I understand there was a meeting last night amongst GPs, and they are demanding that meeting be held in Donegal and are awaiting a response from the minister in that regard. So on it goes. Interesting that according to the paper that, because I heard Charlie McConlogue speaking to the newsroom here, I got the impression that a meeting had been committed to, as well as a visit to Letterkenny University Hospital. Okay, the Donegal news this morning. A Letterkenny councillor has said the major traffic delays being experienced in and around parts of the town this week have been caused by motorists attempting to avoid the new traffic light system on the Polestar roundabout. It's your fault, guys. It's not the traffic lights. Long tailbacks were reported on different routes around the town, even off-peak times, since the lights were switched on at the Polestar roundabout on Tuesday afternoon. There was much frustration as motorists found themselves caught in long delays, and many people have taken to social media to vent their anger at the changes. But Councillor Donald Coyle says that the problems this week in parts of the town have been caused by motorists attempting to avoid the new traffic light system on the Polestar roundabout. Excuse me. On to the Derry news. Concern raised over Israeli flags erected in Waterside. Concerns have been raised about the proliferation of Israeli flags in the Waterside area amid allegations Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The flags were allegedly raised on Tuesday night, the same day nearly 500 Palestinians were killed in a strike on a hospital. Catherine Hutton of Derry Island Palestine Solidarity Campaign said a member of the public contacted the group about the flags. A member of the public contacted us concerned about the proliferation of Israeli flags, particularly on Glendermot Road, but they are displayed quite frequently in the Waterside area and in loyalist areas, she said. On to the Nationals now, and we'll start with the Irish Independent. And coalition ministers are privately furious at HSE Chief Executive Bernard Gloucester over his criticism of the health service budget and his briefing of opposition TDs. Mr Gloucester comments last Sunday that next year's health budget is not adequate for all current costs, has angered ministers who believe he should not be using the media to lobby for more money. The HSE approach isn't helping, a senior coalition source said. One senior minister said Mr Gloucester's comments on RTE at the weekend had been extraordinarily unhelpful, while a second senior minister said it's like Tony O'Brien is back in town except more overt, a reference to the former HSE Director General who had a strained relationship with former Health Minister Simon Harris. But why do they want to shut people up that are working in the health service? I don't understand why that is. Surely that's democracy, isn't it? We live in a democracy, an open democracy, where people express views and have feelings and can say what they want to say. Why are we trying to gag consultants? Why are we trying to gag the head of the HSE, the head of the health service? Who's trying to do that? Is that really the country we want to live in, where people working in certain areas of society are literally not allowed to speak publicly to the media? And then they talk about funding the importance of funding public service broadcasting, but on one hand, and then on the other hand, trying to stop people from engaging with that. Is that truly democracy? I don't know. It doesn't feel like a full open democracy to me. If you're from Cork or the South and affected by flooding, you might feel you've been somewhat forgotten, because you have to go quite deep into some of the papers to get the information. Cork has been left counting the cost of Storm Babbitt as heavy rainfall caused millions of euros worth of damage, with homes and businesses flooded and roads and bridges washed away as rivers burst their banks. 5 counties in the south and southeast coasts were subject to orange rain warnings yesterday as Storm Babbitt swept over the country. And we're in another situation whereby, sometimes things should be red and they're not, and sometimes things should have no warning at all and they're yellow. Well, East Cork bore the brunt of the storm, with the centre of Middleton town flooded to a depth of over a metre. Cork County Council confirmed that more than 100 premises, residential and commercial, were damaged when local watercourses burst their banks. Well, Met Éireann has responded to this, and it's admitted it may be issuing too many weather warnings and is looking at raising the threshold for doing so. And we did see quite a bit of that. It's easy to be critical of Met Éireann. They are, to some extent, damned if they do and damned if they don't. But when we're getting temperature warnings and wind warnings, and we know ourselves it's only a breeze, and then we get an awful bit of weather and there's no warning at all, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Better not to have anything almost than to have ones that you can't trust. Well, the forecaster currently puts status yellow, orange and red warnings in place depending on the severity of expected weather. Owen Sherlock, McArt's chief forecaster, said the threshold for weather warnings are renewed every 30 years. Also, especially with climate change, he admitted there are now too many yellow warnings and that it was working on a way to minimise them. And how do you do that? Well, how do you do that? You increase the threshold. So instead of wind being 50 and that promoting a warning, you have it at 55 kilometres per hour. That sort of a way. I'm finding I've suggested this would be a good idea before. Am I politically aligning myself now with Michael Healy-Rae? Secondary students should leave school with their leaving certificate in one hand and a full driver's licence in the other. That's according to independent TD Michael Healy-Rae. I really believe there should be a great emphasis on learning to drive in school. I'm not quite sure if they should come out with the actual test in their hand, but be that as it may, the Rural Independent Group, of which the outspoken Kerry TD is a member, have tabled a motion demanding a reduction in waiting lists for driving tests. They've suggested adding motoring to the second level syllabus as a possible solution. Would you be in favour of that? Would you like to see driving as part of the secondary or as part of the syllabus? I think I would. And also too, there was some suggestion that by way of speeding things up at the moment, that if you've sat your 12 lessons, that you should be allowed to drive. What do you think about that? I don't know. That's probably not a great idea either. But anyway, some suggestion along those lines. Angus bull to soar in new beef rankings. That's the Irish Farmers Journal. Traditional beef breeds are set to rocket up the rankings at the expense of continental breeds in the first major revision of the ICBF's beef replacement and terminal indexes since 2016. On to the Daily Star. Taoiseach Micheál Martin says he's been told the National Children's Hospital could be open in late 2024. My view is the hospital is very well advanced, he said. We want it completed as quickly as possible and in the best manner possible in terms of commissioning of equipment and so on. October next year is a date that's been touted there. The Sun tells us that a jury should focus on when a woman told an Irish celebrity accused of defilement her true age. His barrister told a court yesterday. The man, 40, has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of engagement in sexual acts with a child under the age of 17 at locations in Dublin on dates between August and December 2010. The jury are going to begin their deliberations this morning. And the most common crime people were jailed for last year was theft, a report revealed. According to the Irish Prison Service figures, 4,855 people were sentenced in 2022. Theft and related offences was the reason more than 18% of those were put behind bars and was the most common crime. The second most common crime was attempt or threats of murder, assaults and harassment. That resulted in 653 people being locked up. I'll go through those in a little more detail a little later on because they are quite interesting. Right, Joanne joins us on the programme now. Hi, Joanne.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Thanks for joining us. Right, what's your experience been of garages? Because you kind of want to throw it out there and see, is it just for you or is this the public's general experience?
Yeah, I do want to throw it out there, specifically around the transparency of garage quotes for car repairs. So recently I had an experience with a garage. I booked my car in for an oil change and filter, and when I booked the appointment, I was also advised there'd be a health check, and the total cost would be €179. So I left the car in and also then advised them that I did have a problem with the clutch and to look at that. So about 3 hours later, I did receive a text from them, and I'd like to quote the text because this is where I think the transparency issue is. So in the text, they said, "We have completed a check of your car and we found some items that need your approval. Please view and approve the work required." I then entered a password, which was my car reg number, and I was given a list of different suggested repairs and the cost, just a total cost, and given an option of approving it, declining it, or postponing it. So initially the cost was 179. The clutch cost was 1,470, and then with the suggested the other repairs, the whole cost would have came to €3,000. There was no breakdown of what the part costs would be, what the VAT was, or what the cost of labour would be, and how many hours the labour was going to be.
Can I run through this list? Because there's quite a lot here, because you went in just for a front disc and pads. They said there is, 5 to 7,000 kilometres remaining, €360. Front wishbone rear bushings, €370. Front wipers, €42. Now, you say you changed the wipers 3 months ago. A timing belt and water pump, they generally are changed at the same time. Every 5 years or 210,000 kilometres, €649. Now, you had that changed already 2 years ago. The clutch kit, as you mentioned, €1,470. But you got another quote, as you mentioned there, for 821. So you believe that, I don't know, that they were just throwing figures out?
I honestly would love a garage just to explain it. You know, the suggestion in the text was that please approve the work required. And if you look at the front discs and pads, that is not required currently. They say themselves 5 to 7,000 kilometres remaining, so that's dependent on. I could have another 6 months if I only drive 100 kilometres a week. So it's not. The whole thing is, when I go into a garage, I am leaving it. They're the experts. I want to drive a car that's safe and that it's not a danger to me or anybody else on the road. So I have to be cognizant that if they're giving me advice, I'm almost thinking, geez, I really need this. But when I actually look into it and query it, and I did query about the timing belt with them, and then I said, well, that's advisory only. But nowhere does it say that any of this is advisory. So I think that garages, I would love to hear why they don't do a breakdown of costs, why they don't tell you that something is either urgent, it's essential, or that you can leave it.
Okay, can I say one thing, Joanne? I just see from my notes here, you were just advised that all this work needs doing. You only found the additional information out after you inquired.
Well, the additional information, no, the front discs and brake pads, for example, they had in brackets 5 to 7,000 kilometres remaining. Yes, that was there. The rest can be ordered. The timing belt, I did advise them that I had the timing belt changed with themselves within the last couple of years. I asked about the clutch kit. Could they give me a breakdown of what the costs were involved in that? And they advised me the clutch kit was 800 plus that, and then labour. I had to ask how much the labour costs were, and I was advised that the labour costs were €450 for 5 hours. Where when I got the other quote from a garage for the 821, I was advised that the labour cost or the hours worked for that was 3 hours. So there's a 2-hour differential as well there in relation to how long it would take to fit the clutch. And these are the things that I think I would love garages to be transparent about.
Yeah. If you would have just texted back, yes, crack on, you'd been facing a bill of over €3,000 in and around €3,000. I mean, this is big, big money. I doubt there's very many people listening have like that lying about.
Massive money from walking into a garage with €179, and I wasn't sure what the clutch would be, but if I had clicked approve, the cost would have been over €3,000. It's huge.
So you want more details, but see, then you could say, in fairness, that maybe you got all the details in conversation with them, like they did give you the breakdowns, Joanne, and.
Well, my point to that would be that whatever a challenge is, you need to tell me why I need front discs and pads.
Understood, I get you, yeah.
Or why are you suggesting that I need a timing belt? Where is that suggestion coming from when a timing belt's already been fitted?
Yeah, understood.
I don't understand. Yeah.
And if you didn't have the querying mind that you have, you could have just texted yes, and then you'd have had €3,000 bill. How much of that did you really need to spend?
And that's really what.
Yeah.
How much? We all want to drive a car that's safe, and that's why when a garage suggests something, you're wondering, if I don't get this, is my car going to be unsafe? Do I really need this?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So just a bit more transparency is what you're looking for, really. And
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just wondering what other people's experiences are in relation to quotes for car repairs.
Joanne, you've thrown it out there now. We'll see what others think, and we appreciate your time and safe motoring going forward. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Take
Goodbye.
Care.
Any views on that? 08660 25,000.
We're all going on holiday! How would you like to go on the holiday of a lifetime? Then why not join us for the Highland Radio Hoolie in sunny Salou? Spend 7 nights in the sun with some of Ireland's top entertainers, including Robert Mazzell, Jim Devine, Margot, Claudia Buckley, and many more, with live music all day, every day. Staying in the beautiful 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel, this is a trip not to be missed. Book now by calling Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. We'll see you in sunny Salou.
Well, Grace, how are you today?
I'm good. I've just been down to the Made to Measure Fireplaces showroom in Creasla. They have an incredible selection of over 40 colours for kitchen worktops. And guess what? For a limited time, they're offering a 40% discount on any electric fire when you purchase a worktop there.
40%? That's an amazing deal, Grace.
Absolutely. And trust me, if the discount alone doesn't sway you, their huge selection of fireplaces, stoves, wood pellet burners, beams and stone cladding certainly will.
Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creasla on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on ntmfireplaces.ie.
Get ready for spooky season at Century Complex. This Halloween, we have a great selection of movies at Century Cinemas, delicious food and cocktails at Backstage Bar and Grill, and Century Plays Halloween Family Fun Day, taking place on the 28th of October from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Applications are now open for the Donegal Enterprise Awards, hosted by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. The awards celebrate the diversity and strength of the small business community in Donegal. A prize fund of €14,000 will be awarded across 9 different categories. This is an excellent opportunity to promote and showcase your business. Apply before Monday the 23rd of October at 12 p.m. via localenterprise.ie/Donegal or email info@leo.donegalcoco.ie for more information.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okie doke, the time now, 27 minutes past 9. You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We are going to be joined by our second guest on the show very, very shortly, so please stay with us for that. In fact, I believe we actually can now say good morning to Niamh Lambert, Regional Coordinator with the Victim Support at Court VSAC. Are you there, Niamh? Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure. It's good to have you on. Tell us a little bit about the VSAC group.
Yeah, so we are the only charity in the country that specialises in court accompaniment for victims and prosecution witnesses of all types of crime. So that's regardless of the crime, the gender, the religion, anything like that for the victims that are coming in. We look after people who are giving their evidence in court or children or vulnerable witnesses who are giving their evidence through video link.
So what is now? The reason we're talking is this is available in much of the country, but not in Donegal, and you're looking to extend into Donegal. So we'll get to that in a moment. But what this accompaniment? What service is it actually providing other than accompaniment? If you know what I mean.
Yep. So we have, as I said, we are a charity. We have 4 staff members. We've got 3 coordinators. I'm the coordinator for the East and South East. We have Emily, who will be the coordinator. She's the coordinator for the Western, Northern, Midland courts. And then we have Sarah, who's the coordinator for the Criminal Courts of Justice in Parkgate Street in Dublin. And then we have Dipna, she's our general manager. And then out of that, we've got about 70 volunteers, and they're the people who provide the court accompaniment. So the court accompaniment is basically just practical and emotional support for victims when they're going to court. So court is an extremely scary place to go into. When you go into it, there's lots of people, they're all moving around the place and they all seem to know what they're doing and where to go. So what we do is that we would try to meet them prior to their case being listed. So we offer a pre-trial visit where we meet them at the courthouse, maybe like a week or 2 before their case is due to start. We'll show them an empty courtroom. We'll show them the victim support room. So up in Letterkenny, there's a lovely victim support room up there and a lovely video link room as well. We show them around. We show them this is where you're going to meet your volunteer on the day. So when they're going in, they actually have an idea of where they need to go and who they're going to meet, because the majority of the time, what we know from the courts is from American TV, which is really, really dramatized. There's nobody bursting in at the last minute with the last bit of evidence. Nothing works like that, but that's the idea that we all have. So we kind of take a little bit of that fear out. We're kind of empowering people when they're coming into court. They're taking a little bit of that power back for themselves. They know exactly where they need to go and where they're meeting people. So that'll be our first step that's offered to them.
Yeah, and I can imagine too, you know, for most people as a victim, you'd imagine it's the first time going into court in that environment. Where's the judge? Is the media there? Who's going to report on this? Can I be seen? Will the public, are they behind me? Are they beside me? Where do I go? Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's already going to be an incredibly stressful situation. So the uncertainties and the unknowns as much as possible, I presume you try and ease what's already a very difficult experience by, you know, emotionally holding their hand through that part of it.
Yeah, so we don't, when I book in a case, or any of the coordinators, when we book in cases, we don't take any of the details of the case, because none of that's any of our business. It's a fully confidential service. So the details we would take is the name of the accused, the name of the injured party or the witness that's coming in, and the type of crime it is. So that's it. So we don't know any of the details. And then what we do is we can answer all those type of questions that they have, because there's a lot of things that are going on in their mind, and they're like, who's going to be there? Where do I sit? One of the most questions that we get is, what do I wear going into court? Because it's so foreign to a lot of people going into one of these buildings. And as I said, like, they have an idea in their head of what it's like, and that's totally different to what it actually is in reality. So we like to kind of help them through that. So like our volunteers then we won't go through any like their statements or anything with them, but what we will do is we'll bring them into the courtroom. We'll show them how to approach the witness box, where to sit, how to answer the judge. We'll show them like where everyone's sitting, like where the jury's sitting, where the barristers are sitting. So it's kind of just planning out the courtroom with them. And then on the day of their actual trial, we could say to them, we can go in first and we can take our seats first if you want, or we can let the accused side go in and let them pick their sides, and we can sit then afterwards. So it's just really helping them, providing that emotional support. And like when their cases start, they don't really realise that their investigating guard, who they probably developed a bond with over the amount of time it's taken to get to court, and the barristers, the state barristers and solicitors, they can't really talk to them once they finish giving their evidence. So we can act as like an intermediary between them. We can say, look, this is what's going on, this is how they're feeling. Or we can just explain a bit of the legal terms, because we're so used to hearing it. And we're like, every case is totally different, but all the procedures are the exact same.
Yeah.
So we're able to explain.
And often it's archaic language that's being used, rooted in you know, laws from hundreds of years ago, effectively. And in terms of like, do you sit beside the person, or is that an option? Because obviously, dependent on the crime, you know, having to relive it, listening to the evidence and all that can be really, I imagine, really quite distressing, either at the time or afterwards. Can you need support if the person wants through that part of it too?
So when they have to give their own evidence, they're up on the stand or they're in a video link room, and that's their own time to be by themselves there. But when they're sitting in the court and they're listening to the rest of the evidence, we can sit with them. We will do what they need. So sometimes I say, I need you to sit right beside me and don't move. Or sometimes I go, my mum is in the victim support room and I'm really worried about my mum, and they can't concentrate on their evidence, thinking about their mum on their own. So we will sit with their mum, if that's going to keep their mind at ease. Or they might say, I don't want anybody in the court while I'm giving my own evidence. but will you wait outside for me? So when they're done, they know that there's somebody outside waiting for them to bring them outside for some fresh air or bring them up to the victim support room. So we kind of work with what the injured party needs.
And obviously you have good cooperation with the court service, given what you've outlined so far.
The court services all the courts that we've gone into have been fantastic. All the management, the staff there have been brilliant, because I think once you work within that area, you see how vulnerable people are. Like even for, like I heard you talking about burglary there in the news, that like even for cases like that, people are so nervous going into court. So they can see that there is a need for somebody there just to kind of come in and guide them through the court system. So every single court that we've been into, like especially with this expansion into the northern and the western courts, all the court services have been brilliant with working with us and allowing us to use their facilities.
Now, are you looking for people to work with VSAC in Donegal, or are you going to extend your current team into the region?
So we have a coordinator there. We have Emily Healy. She's our coordinator for the western, the northern, and the Midland court. So she's got a big task in front of her, and it's just to let people know that there is a service there for victims if they are going into court, or even if they've got questions about their own procedures, they don't want court company, they can always give us a ring and we can answer them. We are looking for volunteers. So at the moment we are looking for volunteers in Letterkenny Court, and we're actively going into that courthouse. But any of the other smaller district courts, we're taking in cases by referral.
Case by case. So in terms of then in terms of volunteers, there's a lot of information that is known. It has to be the right information. So what kind of a background, generally speaking, does someone have, or would someone need to have? How competent would they need to be in terms of, like, to the former solicitor or something, or a student of the law, or like, who is your typical volunteer?
We've got a great mix of volunteers. So we've got people who are retired, or people who have been through the court service and they have no support, or they've been through the service and they've used our service and they wanted to come back to volunteer. So we've got a great mix of people. You don't need to have any sort of legal background or anything like that, because everything is taught you, because we're not giving legal advice. It's the practical and the emotional advice that we are giving. So to become a volunteer, there's a lot in it to become one of our volunteers. We want to make sure that we have the right people for the role. And also, when the volunteers are in court, you're listening to a lot of tough stuff, because last year we supported 1,997 people, and out of that, 870 of those people were rape and murder cases, and then we had 425 murder, manslaughter, and then 175 was domestic violence in the district court, and assault was 238. So there's a lot. So you're listening to a lot of information. So we want to make sure that people aren't taking that home with them. So to become a volunteer, they send an application, and you can do that through our website, vsac.ie, vsac.ie, and you can send in an application there. All those applications are then shortlisted, and then we do interviews. So for the rest of after this interview, I'm doing interviews with loads of other volunteers after this one, and then that's shortlisted again. And then we do in-person training, and that's shortlisted, and then we do shadowing. So they shadow between 6 to 8 weeks, case depending, with one of the coordinators or with one of our experienced volunteers. So they're not just going to be thrown into a case.
Now this sounds like it could be really quite it could be really quite time consuming, and also too, you don't want to be there for someone on day one of the case. It's deferred for 3 days and then not be available on day two. So it requires, I imagine, quite a bit of flexibility in time. This is unpaid work, is it? And what really is the level of commitment that is required to provide these services for a volunteer?
So we look for our volunteers to give a minimum of 2 days a week, because outside of Dublin, for some reason, all the circuit courts only said Tuesday to Friday, so it's 4 days that it's sitting for. So we look for a minimum of 2 days a week, and then we kind of try to share out the case down with other volunteers. Some of our volunteers, like when they start a case, they like to finish it, and some of them can only do certain days.
Okay.
So we will let the injured party and the guard know, like we have 2 people on.
Mix and match a little bit if required. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, totally. But we don't like to be introducing brand new people onto the case. But also with the time commitment, the circuit courts only come around every couple of weeks per term. So we've got 4 court terms. So it kind of works a bit like the same with school schedules. So it's not, well, it sounds like it's a huge amount of time that we're looking for. In reality, it's only for a couple of weeks per term that we're looking for.
I get you. And is this service now available? I'm thinking now those who may be due in court. Is this service now available in Donegal? So it's not subject to a volunteer recruitment, so to speak. So how do people get signposted to you ordinarily, or how can people make contact? Because for some, you know yourself, it's so stressful. Are they even thinking of, I wonder, are there victim support services and are they charitable? You know what I mean? So how do people normally, all those over 1,000 last year, how did they get in contact with you, or how does that work?
So I think nearly 90% of our referrals came from the guards, but also when the circuit court is coming around, we have a proactive approach where we go in on the Tuesday, we'll have a chat with the court sergeant and we'll have a chat with the state solicitor and see what cases are coming in for the week, because the guards have so much on their plate that sometimes they forget to book in with victim support. So we're just there just to kind of catch the ones that haven't been booked in. But the people who are victims of crime or the prosecution witnesses, they can contact us directly as well. And I can give you Emily's details if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Her phone number is 085 866 2110. So that's 085 866 2110. Or she can be contacted at emily@vsac.ie. So that's VSAC for Victim Support at Court. So emily@vsac.ie.
Right, okay. Is this support for victims or offenders? It's for victims. We said that right from the get-go. Right, okay. Niamh is looking for volunteers in Donegal. Are VSAC coordinators in paid employment? Can I ask your guest, Greg? I presume there are going to be people within VSAC who are employed.
We've got four people who are employed. So there's three coordinators and one manager, and all our volunteers. But all our volunteers also get their out-of-pocket expenses. So if it's mileage, public transport, or we pay for their lunches as well. So it's all done through the civil service rate. So it's all out-of-pocket expenses they're paid for. Okay,
listen, thank you very much for your time. So that is live now in Donegal, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, we have volunteers in Donegal at the moment.
Perfect. All right, just so people know. All right, thank you so very much for your time. Have a lovely day. Niamh Lambert there, Regional Coordinator for VSAC. That's the Victim Support at Court.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced with up to 60% off sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses that are in stock and ready for delivery. With 0% interest-free finance available for up to 2 years and with no deposit, the decision is easy. Oktoberfest sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Terryland, Galway, Sligo Retail Park, Sligo and Brafey Road, Castlebar.
Welcome to the Spa at Orchids, one of Europe's largest spas at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Discover tranquility in our Japanese-themed garden, boasting 7 treatment rooms, seaweed baths, and a secret garden with an outside hot tub and sauna. Now, let me take you to the heart of Bundoran, where you'll find the Holyrood Hotel Spa and Leisure Centre. Don't miss out on our exclusive midweek hotel specials. More information at holyroodhotel.com.
An emotion stirred, an idea accelerated. That's progress you can feel, and the very definition of the Audi 241 range. From the sporty, iconic Audi A4 and the all-electric Audi Q4 e-tron to the pioneering Audi Q8 e-tron, offering greater range than you can even imagine. Test drive the Audi 241 range at an Audi dealer near you today.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
This Halloween half-term, there are ghastly goings-on across Northern Ireland with the National Trust. Enjoy an enchanting Hallows Eve at Castle Ward. Sink your fangs into the new food fair at Florence Court's Harvest Festival of Colour. Tiptoe into the world of spooky trails and storytelling at Mount Stewart. And brave Finn's Frightful Fun Fest at the Giant's Causeway. With broomstick risks at Spring Hill and a monster market at Llewellyn Garden. Search National Trust NI.
This Sunday, the final of the Donegal Senior Football Championship will see holders Naomh Connell and the challengers Gweedore do battle to lift the Dr. Maguire Cup. You can follow the action here on Highland, on air and online, with Oisín Kelly and match analysts Brendan Kilcoyne and Martin McHugh. Throw-in on Sunday is at 4. Live commentary is brought to you by Highland Motors Letterkenny with the Citroën C5 Aircross, an SUV with absolute comfort and assertive styling, perfect for Donegal roads. Order your 241 at Highland Motors.
If you're pregnant or planning on becoming pregnant and live with migraine, you may be worried about how to treat your symptoms if you stop taking your medication during your pregnancy. To address this and other issues, Migraine Ireland are holding a free online seminar on Thursday, the 19th of October at 4 p.m. with neurology specialist Dr. Fionnuala McCann from Craigavon Area Hospital. Book your free ticket now at migraine.ie. With thanks to HSE CHO1 Donegal for the funding for this event.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Bí ré an gíomhre seo. Tá go winterready.ie. On the tiltte stedimocha go green leacaí, ní féidir an gíomhre hua. Bámach a bailach a sárchan ó hain, do bhaile agus doch nó a chusins ag winterready.ie. Nú lean was ar Twitter ag emergency.ie. Sons knúb go chuid rialtas na héireann.
New this week at Home Store and More. All loose cutlery and all cutlery sets are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price loose cutlery and all the half price cutlery sets are gone, they're gone. Also, all vacuum storage bags and all living room throws are still all half price. But when all the half price vacuum storage bags and all the half price living room throws are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Christmas shopping just got easier with Irwin Expert Electrical's layaway service now open. Secure those must-have gifts from Ninja, Apple, Samsung, LG, Dyson or Sage with just a deposit. Simply choose items you love and pay for them in convenient installments that suit your budget. No stress, no rush. Gift smarter with Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Okay, the weather forecast for today, rather cloudy and damp with outbreaks of rain and drizzle in the morning. Rain will gradually clear to the north during the day with some bright spells and a few showers developing, temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. Right, we can say good morning now to Shane Crudden, officer in charge at Killybegs Coast Guard. Good morning to you, Shane. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Now, Killybegs Coast Guard are currently recruiting. Talk to us briefly a little bit about the work the Killybegs Coast Guard does.
Well, like all Coast Guard units in the country, Greg, there's 44 units in the country, and we happen to be one of the 4 Donegal units. And in regards to Killybegs Coast Guard, we're a 3-discipline team, so we're a surge team. We're a cliff rescue team, and we're also a boat rescue or boat unit as well. And at present, we have about 24 members there at the minute. To run the 3 disciplines, the search, the boat, and the cliff, you need as many hands as possible. And that's why every year, well, not necessarily every year we recruit, but this year now we're looking to take people on for the 2024. And start them in January. So, and as I say, it's the plan is that we put the Facebook post out, and you show interest by Tuesday, the 31st of October, and the email address is on the social media post there. It's killybegscoastguard at hotmail.com.
And you ask a simple question. You say, do you want to learn new skills and qualities while helping people on both land and sea? It's as simple as that, which is not simple, but it's a simple question.
Yeah, no, it's a simple question, because you get world-class training, world-class courses. Our uniform, our PPE is just top class. Like we're underneath the Department of Transport. The Irish Coast Guard as an organisation is underneath the department, so we are, as I say, a government department, but and we're government funded as well, like, and we're supplied with, I say, great equipment, great uniforms, PPE, so on and so forth, and learning new skills like first aid is a basic course that you have to do. VHF, the marine radio course, it's a license that you get after completing the course. Basic search skills, searching. Long before I joined the Coast Guard 13 years ago, I thought searching was just maybe walking around a field or walking around the shoreline, but there's a skill to it, and it's a brilliant course to do. And manual handling then, so that would be your 4 core courses done in your probation year. Now, before you join, you fill out the application form, and it's all pending and Garda vetting as well, Greg. That's just part and parcel of what we do and that. But no, we're looking for people. We have a great team there at the minute, so strong. They're a second family to me. We get on the best. But I say we're looking to hopefully take on a few
grow
more.
that family, yeah. What are the criteria like in terms of age, fitness, or other?
No, there is at the age of minimum age of 18 to join, and a reasonable level of fitness. It's quite simple like that. Because like at the end of the day, I can only speak for Killybegs Coast Guard. We do go up Slieve League. We've been very busy with Slieve League this year, and Slieve League's quite a strenuous walk and hike up to the top.
With
and
the
generally
gear.
that's what they call. Well, the gear is exactly. We can get the gear by vehicles some of the way, but no, there is an element of walking. And only recently with a call out there with the stretcher casually out of the boulder field, which is near the top, and that took a couple hours to do that there and that. So yeah, a reasonable level of fitness. And the minimum age of 18 to join, but other than that, that's pretty much and live local as well. Like at the end of the day, we're an emergency service. We're the 4th blue light emergency service for the country, and first responders. So you need to live. And I'm not going to say a certain distance or time to the station. That will all be discussed when the individual show an interest by emailing in. And when you email in, you will get an email back from myself saying that we'll invite you to an open evening. And we'll go through all the disciplines, both the cliff and the search. And
so really, even today, you're looking at maybe, Shane. Not looking for an outright commitment now, but people who have listened and go, right, you know what? Maybe that's something. Maybe that's what I could do for my community, and maybe I can be part of that setup. So express an interest now, and then go along to one of the open days or one of the open evenings. It's KillyBegsCoastGuard at hotmail.com's the email. Go ahead, Shane.
No, that's what you're 100% right. Yeah, show the interest. And I be quite frank with people when they come onto the open evening. I tell them exactly what's expected of a person showing interest. And some people in the last couple of years during the open evening kind of said, thanks very much, but you know what, that's too high of a level of commitment. And that's brilliant. And it's brilliant to get that answer on the open evening rather than going in a year into it and then realising, do you know what, this isn't for me. So no, I'll be quite frank and straight up with people in the open evening. It does suit some people, it will not suit others. But as I say, that's where we get the information to them on the open evening and then go through the motions with them.
All right, brilliant stuff. Okay, Shane, if you're interested in first contact, KillyBegsCoastGuard at hotmail.com. That simply expresses an interest, but you want to do so before Tuesday the 31st of October. Shane McCrudden, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you have a great response to that because we're huge supporters of the 4th Emergency Service, as you've outlined there. It's fantastic the work that you and the rest of the crews do right across our coast and our cliffs and our mountains as well. Shane, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Greg,
Take care of yourself.
To come on.
And if you need any further support, please get in touch. Derek, are you there?
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Derek. How are you getting on? Right. You witnessed something really quite unpleasant last night. What did you see?
So I was driving up past the bird graveyard there, and I just witnessed a bus pulled in and a string of young fellas out, and they were urinating along the wall, I find it unpleasant to watch, as you say.
Now, you've been chatting to others. We could say, oh, right, they got caught out, it was an emergency, but others suggest that this is not a once-off.
So I was talking to a few people, and they reckon it's a regular occurrence,
I think really then the appeal here goes out to maybe bus drivers to give some consideration of that, because it's they that pull over, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. I suppose it's one thing that, you know, people getting off a bus to do that, but the driver there, he made a conscious decision to pull in at that point. You know, they let a bus load off, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And you're saying it's disrespectful. Pack it in.
Well, I think it's disrespectful, you know, for one, because it's a graveyard, but two, you know, people visiting the graveyard as well.
Yeah.
Because they walk over that, you know.
All right, okay. And we're talking about Inch Graveyard, isn't that right? Sorry, it's the graveyard at Burt, I beg your pardon.
At Burt, yeah, along the main road there.
Right, you. All right, simple as that. It's just an appeal to whoever
I
might
just
be
thought
pulling
it
in
was worth mentioning,
100%.
Greg, you know.
Well, that's why we invited you on, and I do appreciate your time, and sorry for holding you there. Thank you very much indeed, Derek. 086 60 25,000. Okay, some texts here. I would like to say that VSAC were a huge support to the McMonagle family when we needed them. And we know exactly everything that you've had to endure. So it's good to hear that there was some comfort with the support you received from VSAC. A caller says, this is a great service and needs to be part of the family justice system as well, especially when false allegations are weaponised and used to stop a mother or father from having access to or seeing their children. This is the main weapon of choice used against an alienated mother or father, and there are usually no repercussions or consequences for the alienating parent or person making the false allegations. Counselling services should be on hand too. In the end, the children lose that. Well, they're not case specific. It's anyone who's a defendant in court. I beg your pardon. Anyone who is a victim in court, regardless of the nature of the crime. I live on the Leck Road. It's crazy with traffic this morning, and once again we are blocked in with traffic tailbacks because our roads are being realigned. There's a red line through our house and we are stuck in limbo and cannot sell. Every time we are asked, we are told it's happening soon. This has been going on for 6 years. All right, okay, I'm sorry for what you're going through. It's a nightmare, I'm sure. I went in through the Polestar twice yesterday and got through with one change of lights. People should be using it this week so that they get calibrated properly. Good call, Josephine. It is important that the regular traffic is on it. Yes, Greg? We too have had a lot of issues over the years with garages. You're given one price and then it more than doubles. It's like an unknown figure at the end, if you understand me. And you're not really going under your own car to see if the work was done or indeed needed done, as most of us haven't a clue what's under a bonnet. But there's no reason, I don't think, particularly with any of the garages, and I've dealt with quite a few of them, to believe that they're sort of saying something's done and not being done. Like a lot of stuff, important stuff like, you know, brakes, shocks, all that kind of stuff would be picked up on an NCT if the work wasn't done. Does that happen very often? I don't think so. But people are obviously going to be nervous and cautious when spending a lot of money. But Greg, there's no grey area. Either you need a timing belt or you don't, otherwise it will break, etc. Indeed, but what the situation with our caller was is she was well within the time frame that you can expect a timing belt not to break because it had been done 2 years previously. I took my car to a local garage to fix all the issues needed that were advised by the NCT Centre, got it fixed, paid over €599 and took it back for the NCT to be inspected again. They advised me it wasn't fixed. I took it into the garage. I took in the garage invoice and what was fixed, it wasn't done. At all. Had to ring them back. I barely got an apology and had to take the day off work again to leave the car back up and get it sorted again. Okay, that kind of talks to what I was saying there about the NCT picking stuff up. This garage should be named. I'm a mechanic myself. What makes an year is the car sounds very expensive to me. Right, okay. We have a very busy couple of hours. Please stay right where you are. We're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices and then we'll be right back.
Join Connolly's MG Sligo for the 2024 Donegal Motor Show, Canal Road, Letterkenny, from the 17th to the 21st of October. Test drive the 241 MG range and find your perfect MG driving experience with the MG4 EV or the MG HS plug-in hybrid. Drive into 2024 with your brand new MG from Connolly Motor Group. For more information, visit connellys.ie.
At Shannon Airport, we know what makes a dream holiday. It's not just the huge choice of destinations like Lanzarote, Malaga, Edinburgh, Paris, and Boston. It's the hassle-free experience that makes getting through our airport a dream. So whatever dream holiday you're packing for, head for shannonairport.ie. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
Skills to Advance offers a range of micro-qualifications in sustainability awareness, resource efficiency, circular economy, lean practice and sustainable procurement for Irish business. Green Skills courses are easy to access, available at times to suit you and are highly subsidised to help your company transition to a green economy. Contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance. Boost skills, boost business. Brought to you by Solus and the ETBs, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Ifford. Christmas Layaway Club now open with lots of Christmas gift ideas in store, like Hollywood mirrors, dressing tables, beanbags and much more. Need a new mattress? Visit our sleep centre on the first floor with quality beds and mattresses at discount prices. In stock and ready for immediate collection or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday 9am till 5:30pm with hot lunches served daily in our coffee shop. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Ifford. Stay warm for less this autumn with Homeland. 5-pack wood logs, buy 3 for €13. Hardwood log crate for 150 kg, only €329. Nationwide delivery available. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
Yeah, I'll be up to bed in a bit. Just one more level. 2 more levels. What's the harm?
Weight gain happens for many reasons in your 20s, but a good night's sleep is one of the 4 habits that can help. Learn more at gov.ie/healthy weight, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Department of Equality has confirmed that 66 asylum seekers due to be housed in Buncrana have been transferred to another county. In response to Councillor Jack Murray, a department spokesperson said they have been made aware of issues which arose in Donegal. Earlier this week saw protests in Buncrana against the arrival of 66 men who were to be housed in a 19-room building in the town. Councillor Murray says from the outset it was a wrong decision on the government's behalf.
There was a decision made, obviously in an office in Dublin, to bring 66 men into a very, very crowded building, 3 or 4 to a room and 19 bedrooms. I think it was an unsuitable location and I don't think it should have went ahead. And clearly that caused a huge amount of concern and worry in Buncrana, and we saw then how people have reacted. So I think it's the right decision now that these men have been transferred to a different county. I hope it can give some reassurance to the people of the town at this point, and I hope that the government will now reflect on how badly they've handled this and not do so in such a manner again in the future.
Well, assurances have been given that there will be a review of how the housing of asylum seekers is handled by government in Donegal. Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin met with Minister Roderick O'Gorman last evening to discuss the growing concerns in the county over the housing of asylum seekers. He stressed the need for consultation with the local community, health services and schools. Deputy McLaughlin is hopeful that Minister O'Gorman will take the concerns on board.
I spoke with him last night and I made it clear to him that there is real concern now in my own hometown of Buncrana, but also in locations and communities across Donegal, at how his department are managing the whole question of asylum seekers and Ukrainian refugees. It appears to be that wherever there's a building available, even if it's a building where they're packing people in like sardines, that seems to be the approach. The Minister has advised me that he has a team in terms of community engagement, and he's going to reflect on the advice that I have given him.
The Taoiseach says he has huge sympathy for the Palestinian people who he says have been horribly treated for 75 years. His comments come as British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak arrives in Israel for talks with his Israeli counterpart. Leo Varadkar reiterated the Irish government's call for Israel to de-escalate its response in Gaza. He says people should be careful about what they hear from both sides in the conflict.
I think Israel's a great country. I've had a chance to visit it on a number of occasions, but I've huge sympathy for the Palestinian people. They've been horribly treated now for 75 years and denied self-determination and denied their own state. And I think Irish people, given our own history, have a particular sympathy towards Palestinians. But, you know, we have to be very careful about what we believe here, because this is a war. Israel will not necessarily tell the truth or the whole truth, nor will Hamas.
More witnesses are to be called before the Aisling Murphy murder trial this morning. 33-year-old Joseph Pushka of Linally Grove, Muckla, County Offaly, denies murdering the 23-year-old school teacher on the 12th of January 2022. Yesterday, the trial heard from two women out for a run along the Grand Canal near Tullamore, one of whom saw a man crouching over a girl. The trial continues before the Central Criminal Court this morning and is to last for up to 5 weeks. The Minister of State with responsibility for mental health and older people has been told that the traveller community has been let down by government as the promised National Traveller Mental Health Strategy has still not come to fruition. Donegal Senator Eileen Flynn raised the issue with Minister Mary Butler in the Seanad this morning. She told the Minister that much more needs to be done.
All you have to do is walk onto any hot site in this whole country and speak to families, and they will tell you the struggle. I think to a certain extent you really have to live and breathe within the community. But like we're seeing 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, young women dying by suicide within our community, and we must and should do more. We were promised a national mental health strategy for the traveller community, and we just feel so let down as a community.
Police in Derry are investigating a pipe bomb attack last night as a possible sectarian hate crime. A woman in her 20s was inside a house in Heron Way when the device partially exploded at the back door at around 11:30. She wasn't injured, however damage was caused to the door. A number of nearby homes were evacuated for a time while police and ATO officers examined the scene. Detectives at Strand Road are keen to hear from anyone with information regarding the incident or who may have captured any footage in the area last evening. Weather now rather cloudy and damp this morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Rain will gradually clear during the day with some bright spells and a few showers developing. Highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, October the 19th. The death has occurred of John McGowan, Armore Island. His remains are reposing at his sister's residence. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock with house private after the Rosary plays. Funeral mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Crone's Church, Armore, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Eileen Foster, née Aiken, Moyle Hill, Milford, formerly Drumherve, Ramelton. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Peter's Church, Milford, followed by burial in Milford Cemetery. Mass can be viewed at churchservices.tv. House strictly private at the request of the deceased. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. And the death has taken place of Mary Kavanagh, 74, Glen Eagles, Derry. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 9:20, going to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Steelstown for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if wished to the Foyle Hospice. Family time please from 8 p.m. until 12 noon. For family information and more details regarding wegs and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
It's the great autumn of savings at SuperValu with over 1,000 price cuts on all the big brands you love, like Calvita Block was $2.90, now $2.65. The Happy Pear Granola Selected Range was $4.49, now $3.99. And money off vouchers every week on the app too. So pop in for great savings in store or online this autumn at SuperValu.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Thank you to all of you listening and texting into the show. Greg, there was a time when you didn't pay for a phone call until a person answered. Now you're charged from the minute the machine is switched on. It costs a fortune and most times no satisfaction. That comes in from Mary. I'm going to mention that after I get through some of these comments because there's some good news that I want to share with you as well. Hi, Greg. I know this has been discussed before on your show. However, lighting in Ballybofey is shocking. You can't see if the person crossing the road. It's extremely difficult when raining. The new crossing is also difficult. Lighting over these are poor and no beacons. People asking for this fixed, but nothing has been done. Don't understand the reasoning when so many have asked for this issue to be fixed. Possibly get someone on from the council. Well, we've covered this extensively, as you know, listener. It's not necessarily a council issue either, as such. Driving through this morning, it was pitch black, it was raining, and it was hard to see if anyone was crossing. And I still have great concerns about that crossing there at the bank, particularly. A caller says everyone's avoiding the Polestar and coming in the back way to town, resulting in traffic around Lismonaghan and Old Town. Okay, well, at least they're staying out of my way. No, joke, obviously. But we all need to use the road as normal for them calibrating those lights, I suppose. A caller says it's insane to think the consultants are warning of service collapse at LUH, coupled with an unprecedented intervention from 78 GPs, and yet the minister is reluctant to come and see the situation for himself. His job is to solve this problem. As minister, unthinkable. He'd prefer to hide behind his desk in Dublin, though he would probably say he's got a lot of commitments and is busy. He should come and meet the people waiting for hours in ambulances and in the ED to understand the gravity of the situation. If this was St James or Tala Hospital, he'd meet stakeholders there. Why are Fianna Fáil so hell-bent on disrespecting and leaving Donegal behind? Well, it's not the party as a whole. He is a minister in his own right also as well, of course, though he's a member of that party. The GPs are sticking to their guns, though, and they will go public again, no doubt about that, if the minister refuses to come to Donegal and meet them where the problem is actually happening. Over 7 weeks into hedge cutting season and very little done. Roads in Arddraw area. I hear the council do get some areas and roads done, so they need to either cut none or all, as a lot of landowners are confused with what's going on. I think you texted in from Arddraw a couple of weeks ago as well, or someone else did at least. Still no progress there. It's not a process I'm incredibly familiar with in terms of responsibility and what have you. Right, now the Irish Hotel Awards 2023 have taken place, and the Irish Hotel Awards took place in the Radisson Blu in Sligo on Tuesday. The best of the best in the hospitality sector celebrated their hard work and achievements, and we want to say a big congratulations to the Waterfront Hotel in Dunloe. Standing proud, taking not one but two prestigious awards back to Donegal. They won the Ulster Coastal Escape of the Year and Business and Conference Hotel of the Year. So congratulations to all the team out there at the Waterfront Hotel in Dunloe. It's a wonderful hotel. I've stayed there before, and it's amongst a whole host of fantastic hotels we have in this county. We're blessed with them. Okay, let's take a break for the bingo numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 19th of October, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €5,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 42. The jackpot number is number 11. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 88, 27, 23, 8, 82, 17, 1, 14, 45, and finally 67. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight. Leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
How are you doing, Liam? Usual, is it? Sea salt? At Visa, we're proud to support small businesses in every community, like Murphy's of Dingle, makers of quality ice cream supplied by Kerry Dairy Farms. When you shop with an independent business, it multiplies to support your community. Where you shop matters. Visa.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Keep out the cold, 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 and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
It's the home of the vegan butchers, the artisan bakers, the freestyle lyricists, and the trouser suit striders. It's the urban jungle, where the everyday meets the latest wave. And you could see it all from your Seat SUV. From the sharp lines and smart style of the Arona to the bold and beautiful Ateca. And if size is your thing, the Tarraco comes as a 7-seater. See what's in store at seat.ie for our latest offers. And visit DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Because your new Seat is just waiting to see what's next.
Okie doke. We're joined in studio now by Administrator at Highland Radio Events. Administrator and Highland Radio Events, Katie Sorry, it's just as it's written. And Highland Radio Events, Katie McGee. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Thanks for calling in.
No problem.
Exciting developments, because finally we have an online shop, or we will tomorrow.
Yeah, going live tomorrow.
It's an outlet on our website. Shop.highlandradio.com is the URL. Tell us about it. What's happened?
So it'll be accessible through our Highland Radio webpage. So it'll be on the homepage, similar to how it would look for the car draw. You know, the way there'll be a bit sort of a long banner across the home screen. So that's exactly how it's going to look as well. It's called The Outlet. So get used to that name, The Outlet. To go, you can purchase your events, and so anything we're doing throughout 2024 will be up there as of tomorrow. So anything we have going on for 2024 will be up for purchase from tomorrow going forward, as well as our own Christmas concert, where you can purchase packages and tickets, both purchasable online. Highland Radio merchandise, bingo books, merch.
We call it merch.
Absolutely.
Get your Highland Radio merch.
Yeah.
Now, people familiar with our website will know that we do the card draw is there, a show will be there, and you click through. This is a one-stop shop, a one-stop outlet shop, so to speak. Shop.highlandradio.com. So we've always had an online presence, but now this is a one-stop place. So in other words, I heard that ad, I might have a look at that. Shop.highlandradio.com. The info will be there, all in the one place. Got the shopping cart, all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, no, it's really cool actually, and it looks really well actually. There's some really good work done in the background on it as well, so I'm really looking forward to people seeing the final product tomorrow. And like I say, whole plethora of stuff going on next year that we've been putting together. Brian Adams, I just added about 5 days ago. So we've been lucky enough to get some really good shows for next year, as well as everything else, and our own concert, which is really exciting because we haven't done it.
I haven't heard about this. Can we talk about that? It's on December the 11th, which is good. I like Christmas concerts and Christmas things that are close to Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is good.
Absolutely.
So it's on the 11th of Christmas, so you can be in your you can have your tree up at that point. It's perfectly legal.
Totally can.
And and you can, but you know what, you can really get a sense of it. What can you tell us about that? The concert yet, except that it's on the 11th of December.
Well, I can tell you a few details.
Go on, please.
So we have John McNichol, Michael English, Claudia Buckley, our own David James, and Jack Kyo. So they're the acts that will be playing. We have the two options, as we always did before COVID, and we were doing these concerts quite regularly. So we have a dinner, bed and breakfast option and your ticket to the show, which is purchasable obviously online through the outlet, and also if you want you can call me here, no bother, to purchase that. And then the ticket only option as well, if you just want to go to the concert and go home afterwards. So
fantastic.
Those are the two options there.
Brilliant stuff. And also other shows that we have for next year. Sister Act, which is nearly sold out, is it?
Yeah, we're pretty much there with Sister Act. There's a very limited spaces left for it.
Brian Adams, as you mentioned, this is brilliant for people who want hassle-free. I was chatting to people that were going to watch Luke Holmes, and the talk of what car should we take, where do we park, trying to park around Belfast, trying to park around Dublin. It was two separate people trying to get accommodation You know, a whole handling. Now, we do it and it's fine, right? But the thing with the likes of the Bride Adams trip, you know, it's your transfers, your ticket, your accommodation. You don't have to worry about any of that. And, you know, I think that's a big deal for people. Michael McIntyre, the comedian, he's hugely popular. Very funny, actually, Michael McIntyre.
Yeah.
Wicked and Hamilton, 2 more shows as well.
Exactly.
All deets will be available tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%.
They're available now, but I'm on outlets.
Yeah, on the outlet, we'll call it the outlet.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not going to be conditioned to. That's what you're trying to do here.
You'll be calling it the outlet soon enough, anyway. I guarantee.
How many of you met around a table to decide we're going to make sure it's called the outlet? It has to be called the outlet.
We actually, do you know what? We were struggling with what to call it.
Clearly, and you didn't really get to the end of that journey. You just gave in. Gave in mid-struggle.
Not at all. I think it's a really cool name, actually.
Well, here's one,
short,
right? If I was in on that meeting, Highland Shop.
But you're not telling anybody.
We're not in America.
Well, you know.
We're in Ireland. It's a shop. So from henceforth.
You're going to call it the shop.
No, I'm only joking. Either way, it's shop.highlandradio.com. Someone must have taken outlet.highlandradio.com. And it's going to be live for you from tomorrow. And what it is, it's a one-stop outlet for all of the Highland stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Rather than, as I say, it's all we've been doing online forever, but it just means that there's a one-stop place that we can direct you rather than looking at banners and people on different devices. The banners can be in different places and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll still have that stuff there, but it's just so that you know when you can check out your card and the various options. Like you say with the Christmas show, it's quite simple. Is it just a ticket? Do you want the accommodation as well?
Yeah.
So, you know, it makes it all really quite simple and streamlined.
The other thing, there's 2 things there just what I wanted to mention. One is you can go in, you can pay your deposit as normal for trips and that kind of thing, or you can pay full price, whatever. The option is there for whatever way you want to pay initially. And secondly, with the bingo books, it's a good service because it broadens where people can actually play the bingo, because obviously our bingo numbers are online.
London.
Play anywhere you want.
Who's our listener in the Cayman Islands? We'll get them out to you. Anita, I can't remember her name. Say hello to me in the Cayman Islands again this morning. Dolores was down in Galway. I wonder, are you back, Dolores? I know where everyone's at all the time.
Well, there you
chat
go.
away here on the Facebook.
You see, well,
right, so we can get them out. We can get them out to the Cayman Islands, down to Galway, wherever you are. There's Lanzarote too. Say hello from Lanzarote. Charles is over in Glasgow. Are you there, Charlie? Anyway. You can play bingo. We can get the books out to you. No problem. Now, just something I want to say, if that's okay, by the way, in case anyone thinks this is not us abandoning you and your cash and coming to see us and anything like that there. This is just about making those who prefer to do stuff online or choose to do stuff online to make it as simple and streamlined and one-stop shop as possible. We're still at the end of the phone on 07491 25000, and there's people calling up all the time, and that's okay too. This is just to make the online experience more streamlined and enjoyable for those that choose to do it that way, Katie.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. We had an online portal before for purchasing our own concerts, but this is we've just basically taken that idea and we've made it for everything. So
it's next level stuff.
Next level. That's it. You always have to aim higher, you know.
Of course, it's the fleet of foot of us here that we just Okay, so it's good. It's great, Kate. You know, you and others and those working on the back end of this have worked really hard, and really it's just to make it much easier for people who want to do stuff online. Tomorrow you'll see details on our trips for Sister Act, Bryan Adams, Michael McIntyre, Wicked, Hamilton, the Christmas concert, which we've just revealed details of there. That's on the 11th of December, which is just really, really close.
It actually is, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Like Easter. Halloween's going to be behind us in no time, and then it's
I know.
Jingle bells and adverts with Christmas puns in.
I know.
We're going to get Spooktacular is out.
I can't. Are you organised for Christmas?
Yeah, fully. Everything is sorted.
You see, there you go. There you go. Now.
Christmas tree is up and everything.
with the ghost on the top.
I said to someone last year, I put my Christmas tree up last night, and they says, "Did you put it up yourself?" I says, "No, I put it in the front room." Just getting my dad joke in there early.
Get the dad joke.
Okay, right, all right.
Yeah.
Katie, listen. Katie, listen. The outlet shop on our website live tomorrow. The trips, the bingo, and merchandise, which is good because it's going to be a soft launch on the merchandise, I'd imagine. But it'll be nice to be able to build that up. Actually,
we have 2 really nice products which will be going live tomorrow.
If my face isn't on them, you're wasting your time.
Well, we actually made a promise that...
What? 9 to noon cups? No. They're extremely exclusive.
We made a promise to people that there'd be no Greg Hughes faces on any merchandise in order to sell them.
Just when you're finished here now, would you go out into that reception and would you just dust my award? The gold one.
Sorry.
It's the gold one?
I believe that belongs to Caroline. Anyway, no.
Right, okay.
Congratulations on that, by the way,
right,
because
I'm
I haven't
joking.
had a chance. No.
So,
you're fishing.
Caught a whopper. Right, so really what Katie came in for, not just to pass the time of day, is to talk about shop.highlandradio.com tomorrow. Go and have a look at it. It's our new online shop. I'm really excited about it. Any innovation, it does excite me, believe it or not. We're going to have details of all of our trips, details on the Salute trip as well, the Highland merch, the bingo books, wherever you are, and all that kind of stuff. All right, listen, thanks very much, Katie. Is there anything else we haven't mentioned?
No, I think that's it for now.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Take care of yourself. And Katie McGee, administrator and Highland Radio Events. You are Highland Radio Events, as written here.
That's me.
No title in ahead of that, just Highland Radio Events.
Well,
Caroline says I'm being a brat. I'm joking. Please. Back after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Hyundai's big offers continue at Hyundai dealerships nationwide. Test drive the 2024 Hyundai range, including the all-new Kona, Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson, and winners of World Car of the Year, the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6. Avail of the big selection of offers when you book your Hyundai 241 model. Hyundai, a class apart.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
With a high digital online skills course, you'll feel a real difference.
I can listen to all the music I like. The bus app that's coming out, it's brilliant.
Anything you want to know, it's at their fingertips.
They're small things, but they mean something.
Learn essential online skills with simple, accessible lessons at highdigital.ie or free phone 1800 20 30 30. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation and Alone. Vodafone. Together we can.
Ready for winter? It could be a busy one, so it's best you're prepared. Help protect yourself and the people around you by getting your winter flu and COVID-19 vaccinations at the same appointment. Our trusted, experienced team are on hand to help at Boots pharmacies across Ireland. Book in-store or online at boots.ie/flu. With you for making the most of this winter. Boots, with you for life. Eligibility criteria apply. Charges may apply subject to availability.
Shrink your bill with Double Savers at Dunnes Stores. Save in the aisle with the ingredients for 5 meals for less than €25. That's everything you need for beef stir-fry, fish finger wraps, chicken casserole, vegetable penne pasta, and salmon teriyaki. All for €24.68 when you save with the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Find all the recipes on our website. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Step into our showrooms at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet this month and you'll be transported into a realm of endless possibilities. Imagine lounging on a luxurious leather sofa, hosting friends at a stunning dining table, or sinking into a cloud-like mattress and bed at the end of a long day. Reserve now to ensure delivery for Christmas. Also shop online at foys.ie. Finance is available. Inquire in store at Foy & Company, Letterkenny and Ballybuffet.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Greg, one word I hate is merch. There's no such word, actually. I was disappointed to hear you correct the lady who had the intelligence to use the correct term. I'm surprised that someone of your age profile would stoop to use such words. The English language is being decimated by such unnecessary abbreviations, and I'm sorry to be a part of that. I used it ironically. I hate the word too. It's obviously for young people and influencers, and there's a few phrases I dislike. I don't really hate anything. I abhor war and the misuse, the abuse of children and what have you. But in terms of words, I don't hate words or I don't hate people. But merch does grind my gears. It really annoys me. And another thing that annoys me is when people talk about songs or TV shows, instead of being released, they're being dropped. It does annoy me. So I used it ironically to sort of maybe and poke fun of myself and others that are like-minded. My apologies. And Katie was quite correct. What do you feel about the Americanization of our language? Is that another thing that bothers you when I say our language? I mean the English language. My wife left her car in a garage to get 2 new front tyres last year, dropped car off in the morning to collect in the evening as she works in the town. 2 hours later, she got a call telling her that the wishbone bushing was about to fall out of the car and that it needed a track rod end. Total cost €340. As it happens, I had changed the track rod ends myself 2 months previously. 2 days later, the car passed its NCT, and add to this, the car passed its NCT again last month, with still no word of a worn wishbone bushing or track rod ends being worn. Absolutely disgraceful that a woman will be treated like this. So they didn't get the work done in the end, and it's passed 2 NCTs since. Simple solution to Letterkenny traffic problems: put all uninsured drivers off the roads. That'll speed up the flow. Traffic currently backed up. Now, when I say currently, by the way, these texts are coming in over the course of the morning, and they're not all as of now. Traffic backed up to the Dry Arch from the Polestar. No roadworks, just poor timing of lights. As I said, I went through them, normally quite busy, had no issues at all. Hi, Greg. We've had no water in Ballymaleal since 7 yesterday evening. No notification, and can't get any information as to what the issue is or when it will be back on. Can anyone update us? I'll try and do that whilst I speak here to see if I can get the info for you. You'll need a helicopter to get around Letterkenny at present. Come December and Christmas shopping, the roads in and around the town will be the biggest car park in the country. Do you think? I mean, you know, if you go into a big shopping centre, it's never going to be a clean road because there's lots of people want to do the exact same that you want to do. Right, let's see. I don't know. Ballylaleal. Repairs to a burst water main may affect supply to the Kiltoy, Glebe, Loughnagin and surrounds until 4 p.m. today. Okay, so is that... I'm sorry if Ballymaleal is not mentioned, but maybe that's part of that problem there. That's the only one. Well, 7 o'clock. No, there's nothing else there at the moment. The only other update: repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to Duncanely and surrounds until 3 today. And then the only other relevant one I can see for now is repairs to a burst water main may affect supply to Kiltoy, Glebe, Loughnagin and surrounds until 4 p.m. today. So does that include Ballymaleal? Pardon my ignorance on that. It's just hard to know where every townland is in. So that does 4 o'clock. So hopefully it'll be on before that. Caller wants to know if anyone out there has any issues with copper pipes in their homes leaking. Apparently it's a common issue in Donegal, and the caller has only learned that this has this issue, but she hasn't heard anyone else talk about it. It does happen. I've copper pipes in my house for a long time now, and some of the radiators gurgle and bubble and blah, 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 like that there, and I keep having to bleed them. I was told that little holes appear in them and can appear in them, and there's a case going on in West Donegal at the moment too, as it relates to something in the water potentially damaging copper pipes. So your copper pipes are not infallible. It is very possible that they could leak. Right, Robertson Careen's fundraiser, I just want to mention it's from her page. The National Breast Cancer Research Institute, in association with Blackrock Swimwear, are asking as many people as possible to swim in pink this coming Monday and help raise funds. Or is it Sunday? That's Monday, October 22nd, but it's Sunday. I'll come back to that one. I just want to double check the date there because it says Monday, and I don't think that's correct. I'll come back to that and give it a proper mention there, of course. Special Needs Trust Planning Zoom webinar for... Oh, he's online. Right, okay. Jack Murray is with me. Jack Murray, my apologies. I did not know you were there. Sorry for holding you. I really do apologise.
No problem.
I've been sitting here waffling, waiting for the next guest to come on, and you sitting there. My apologies again. We spoke to you earlier in this week as it relates to public concern in the Buncrana area after the arrival of 66 men into the town at night time. There were demonstrations there, and we've spoke to a number of people from the area concerned as to how it happened and what the consequences may be. But there is an update. What is the situation?
Yeah, I've received correspondence yesterday evening from the Department of Equality and Children advising that the men who were to be housed at the building at the Topline Car Park have been relocated to a different county. They haven't given any update as to any future plans. I've asked how would this be long term or short term, but just all they could say at this moment in time they've been relocated to another county. So I hope that this is a time now for the government to reflect on just how badly this entire saga has been handled. It's no exaggeration to say this is an unprecedented time of worry, concern, and tension in the Buncrana community. It's really divided the community, and it's really worried people. There's been no communication whatsoever at government level to communicate to people, and it's perfectly understandable that all those people that were there that live in the nearby area had genuine concerns because of this, because of the unknown.
But it puts people. What happens as well too is it puts people, regular folk, in a very difficult situation because they probably understand the background of at least some of these people. They understand what they might be fleeing. They understand that they need somewhere to stay, but they also know in the heart of hearts that this is not appropriate accommodation for them or an appropriate way to do things. And unfortunately, the current policy leaves regular people in that situation, that sort of, conflicting emotion situation.
Yeah, and Donegal has shouldered a huge amount of responsibility in accommodating refugees, far, far more than most counties. I think it's close to 10,000 people is the increase in the county. It's a huge amount. So, but it needs to be controlled and needs to be done in a way that respects the local community. It's not long ago that Donegal County Council had told the Department, I think it was of Justice, that they could no longer accommodate any more Ukrainian refugees because of the health service being stretched, the education service being stretched. But that seems to be ignored. It can't just be a policy of finding anywhere with a roof and cramming as many people in as possible. Don't show any respect for the local community or for the service that are there. And it's just almost designed to create as much tension as possible. And I've been very worried. I've been very concerned for a long time how this has been handled. And my colleague Paddy McLaughlin would have spoken to Roderick O'Gorman on this just in the last day or so, but has been raising it consistently in the past. And it's almost a textbook example of how to handle this badly.
Was there any reason given as to why this decision was made? Now, I mean, obviously, those who were out protesting or demonstrating will see this as a victory, I'm sure. When we're talking about people's lives, I suppose it's not sort of the way I would describe it, but I understand that they might feel that that's the situation. But do we know as to why this decision was made? Is it because the people themselves didn't feel like they wanted to be there? It was, the locals were listened to. The accommodation wasn't what they expected it to be. Like, was there any reasons given?
No, I forward the response on to your editorial team there too, so they can see the response. But it's quite vague. It was a response to an email I had written to the department, and they said that and I'd outlined the concerns of the local community. They said that they'd recognised the tension in the local area, and on foot of that, they'd relocated these people to another county. That's as long and short as it's detailed. So. But it is recognised, and it should have been recognised a long time ago. As I said the last time I was on, that I flagged the concerns that the location of the shore front, that there was tension building in the local community, and I think that should have been respected, and it shouldn't have made things worse by once again bringing people in the dark of night to a very, very unsuitable location without any consultation with the local community, without any consideration for the health service or anything like that. They do claim that they work with government departments and all services
in advance of these arrivals. So do you think it's an important question to know, to find out as to what Donegal County Council knows in advance? Not the councillors themselves, but how much information and what information is actually given to the local authority. And if there is quite a bit of information there and quite a bit of forewarning, why is that not shared with councillors? Because whatever about the team IPAS not engaging with you guys, right? It would be interesting to know what level of engagement there is with the local authority, and if it's extensive, why is the local authority not passing that information on to elected reps?
My understanding is there's next to no communication with the local authority, and even in the email they would accept in it that they have said, well, what they said is that they didn't have enough time to consult like they would like to have. I find that hard to accept too, because there was planning permission in this building probably a year ago to adapt it for this very purpose. So I would find it hard to accept that they didn't have enough time to consult with anybody when they knew this was coming. But that's the reason they've given on the email. So.
Yeah, because it was a change of policy, because it was established that we were at capacity in terms of in Donegal. No one had been moved here for quite some time because of the pressure on services and what have you, and the fact that we had more proportionately of refugees, asylum seekers than any other county. But then it started again. So we'll see where we go from here. Thanks for the update. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Take care of yourself. So the email that was forwarded to Councillor Jack Murray in response to the moving of those 66 men. While the community engagement team is not involved in all arrivals, we have been made aware of issues which arose in Donegal. Please note that those applicants seeking protection who were assigned to Donegal have been transferred to another county. Given the extraordinary pressure on Ireland to accept those fleeing the war in Ukraine and those seeking international protection, my colleagues in IPAS do not always have a window to engage with communities as they seek to accommodate applicants who might otherwise be homeless. However, please be assured that we do indeed work with services to assist arrivals, and all government departments and services are ready to do our maximum to work with communities. And it is really quite interesting that it quite often happens at night time as well. All right, Independent Deputy Mark McSharry is with us. Good morning to you, Mark. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg, and thank you.
Right, how long have you been considering whether or not you were going to contest the next general election before deciding not to, Mark?
I mean, certainly over the course of the last year, I mean, the thought process would have been afoot. And it's been an incredible privilege, and eternally grateful to the electorate, both to the Senate and the Dáil, over the course of the last more than 21 years. And it's been a great privilege. And the time will be right now when the next election comes up to seek out other opportunities and hand over to fresh legs.
Are you disheartened by politics in this country, disillusioned with it?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think there are many challenges at the moment. In particular, I feel that politics in Ireland has become the blind pursuit of personal advancement at any cost, over and above sort of issue, policy and people-driven politics. And I think that in parallel with what is a reality globally in politics, as well as here in Ireland, where, a dissenting or contrarian voice is far too readily dismissed as and labelled extremist, I think is a very dangerous combination for democracy. And I think that's a challenge for those who will remain in it and those who will come to it new. Certainly that would have been a frustration that I would observe. But no, I mean, we have no choice but to embrace democracy and stick with politics.
With what you've just said, though, did you find yourself having to censor yourself, that you couldn't speak as freely or openly as you might like for fear of, I don't know, cancellation, for fear of it interfering with perhaps any ambitions you might have in the private sector? Like, do you find that you've had to muzzle yourself for the reasons you've just been outlining?
Well, I mean, as you know yourself, and thanks in no small way to yourselves at Highland and the media generally, I never muzzled myself. I always said what I felt needed to be said, and to electoral and personal and other detriment, throughout that period. And my personal view is that a vital role in anybody that's in politics. In the world we live in at the moment, that's not always acknowledged, it's not always welcomed, and of course people will have other views. But as someone who didn't prioritise popularity over substance, I think that's a really, really critical part for people who are in public life, that, they must be prepared to be unpopular, they must be prepared to, irk at least sections of society, to call out, injustices or issues that they feel that need to be addressed, rather than, the approach which most follow, sadly, politically, which is political expediency and keeping the head down in favour of better days and promotion and so on. Trumps all out.
Did you ever do that yourself? Keep your head down, sort of vie for promotion?
No. Everybody's political career sort of takes their path, and I would have certainly identified early on that if ministerial office was something that was going to drive you, it was very unlikely to be part of my portfolio.
Well,
and my
can I ask just
career.
what to become a minister then? To become a minister, what sort of maybe sacrifices to your constituents do you have to make, if you know what I mean? What is the greasy pole to ministerial office?
Oh, look, there has been excellent ministers through the years and so on, and it just wasn't about that for me. It was about the job primarily, but sadly, I would take the view and observe that increasingly there are those who would sacrifice what needs to be done in favour of that political expediency, keep the head down, play it safe, praise everybody all the time, and the ball might bounce in your direction. And if that's what it's about for some people, then that's a matter for them. It wasn't what drove me. It's about issues and the people, and they're becoming lost, I think, in the political game generally, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the reality is that's it's there. Everyone can see it, and unfortunately, it seems that politics is not reacting to that. It's going to be very interesting to see how things go into the future. Would you like to have fully reconciled with Fianna Fáil and made this decision representing that party? You will always be the person that left Fianna Fáil, stayed on as an independent and then bowed out of politics. Will that leave a sour taste in your mouth as the years wear on?
I suppose, given my history in the party, of course, my exit from it is one of sadness. And I still have very many friends in it, and very grateful to the many people who still call themselves Fianna Fáil, who supported me through the years throughout South Donegal and the rest of the constituency. But my decision to leave Fianna Fáil is as valid today as it was at the time. I would take the view that the Fianna Fáil, I first joined and was involved in, it no longer exists. And that's a sad reality, I think, for the people generally, because it was as good a vehicle for the delivery of services as any other through the years, but it was founded on real principle. And I think on one national interview yesterday, I gave the analogy in 2002 when I came in first to national politics. Opinion polls nationally would have Fianna Fáil around 38 or 39%, but Ahern was in charge. They were in government more than any other party up to that time, and obviously lots of water is under the bridge since then. In Connacht Ulster at that time, we would have been as high as 60% at that time. Now we're at 9%, and there's a very good reason for that. I think Fianna Fáil forgot its Republican principles. I think we forgot the strategic necessity to support border counties and to acknowledge the contribution that could be played if provided with the correct enabling infrastructure in the Northwest. And I feel, things like that were abandoned. I'll give you an example. In the news last week, we saw in the national news a suggestion of a new superport in County Meath, to try and take advantage of the wind energy capacity that we have into the future. It just cracks me up, quite frankly. I mean, there is one port capable of this, and that's Killybegs, with the wind energy off our coast. And with all of the green talk about all we're going to do with all of our wind energy, we have no port like Aberdeen, for example, to capitalise on North Sea oil that they've done over the years. And there's one port in Ireland ready for that, and that's Killybegs. And there isn't even a suggestion to build an appropriate road to it. And, that's the sort of vision that I believe is missing from national politics. And so long as it's governed on an individual basis by the blind pursuit of personal advancement at any cost, I'm a little bit pessimistic.
I mean, but obviously, given your own background, your dynasty or your legacy or whatever it might be, how one might describe it, though, you still obviously have a lot of friends in Fianna Fáil and a love for Fianna Fáil, whether it's the Fianna Fáil of now or the Fianna Fáil that you described. What do you see as the future for the party? Can you see any change under its current leadership, or if there is a change in leadership, can you see it getting back to what probably could be described as its roots?
No, I don't actually, and I'm pessimistic about that. It's not about the current leadership or the next leadership. It's about what's now the template for party politics in Ireland. It's far too presidential, be it Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour. It's about one person at the top. The entire apparatus is manipulated and run for and in favour of those people. And, that is a pale reflection of the sort of democracy that I believe any country, and particularly Ireland, require. I mean, you used the word there, legacy. I mean, for me, legacies are for narcissists. I mean, the only legacy that would interest me is that people might say, well, look, he did the best he could while he was there and had the wisdom to move on and hand over the fresh legs without overstaying as well.
Okay, well, do you know what you're going to do after politics? Is this it, by the way? Do you draw a line under it? Could you? Is it something you might return to into the future, or is this it for elected politics?
I mean, I fundamentally believe when you're gone, you're gone. I mean, it's been an incredible privilege, and to have had the opportunity to be in national politics for more than 2 decades is something to be very grateful for. You do the best you can when you're there, when you move on, and when you're gone, you're gone. And but no, I don't have anything identified that I'm going to go into. My background's in enterprise. I would certainly be looking for a job. I would certainly work. But between now and whenever the election is, somewhere between 12 and 14 months from now, I'll be continuing to do the work to the best of my ability. All
right. Thanks very much for that. We do appreciate your time.
Greg.
All right, Deputy Mark McSharry, Independent. Thanks very much indeed. Okay. That's he as he bows out. Mark McSharry is too outspoken for the head-nodding, self-centred party that Fianna Fáil has become, says a listener. Well, it's one person's assessment of it. I'm sure many would disagree. Right, let's take a break. Back with the weather.
The eagerly anticipated brand new production of the Broadway smash hit musical Sister Act is on its way to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre in Dublin. Join Highland Radio as we make way to this unforgettable show on Friday 23rd of February 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star City North Hotel in Dublin, your ticket to the show and a shopping trip to Dublin City Centre. For more information, call Highland Radio on 074 91 25000 or visit highlandradio.com.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7, where you can enjoy dinner and drinks in the Woodbury Grill, Bar and Restaurant before bowling in Arena 7's state-of-the-art lanes. See arena7.ie.
Go full Lidl this Halloween and fill your trolley without a nightmare price. Get all the treats without the tricks. Monkey nuts, 2 packs for €4. Carve costs on Irish pumpkins, prices from 99¢. And get 2 for €3 on scary jelly mix. Deadly. Go on, have a Halloween without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
From the morning routines to cosy family moments, Grant has been bringing comfort to homes for over 45 years. With our biofuel-compatible condensing boilers, heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
At CarZone, we're serious about buying and selling cars. We know nothing about garden furniture, gym equipment, or guinea pigs, but if you want a car, we're your people. We're Ireland's trusted motoring marketplace with the quality cars, advice and tools to help you make the right purchase. CarZone.ie, a serious site for serious buyers.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Radio. So rather cloudy and damp this morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Rain gradually clearing to the north during the day with some bright spells and a few showers developing. Highs of 13 to 16 degrees in moderate southeast winds. Quite a bit going on Sunday, and it seems we're going to have decent dry weather on Sunday, which is good for the tractor one we talked about yesterday. And for the National Breast Cancer Research Institute, in association with Blackrock Swimwear, they're asking as many people as possible to swim in pink this Sunday and help raise funds and awareness for breast cancer research during October, which is, of course, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Several events are taking place around Donegal this Sunday. Marble Hill, 10:30. Ned's Point Buncrana, 12 noon. Rossnowla, 10 a.m. Leonin Beach, 1 p.m. Tolan's Bar organised that one. So make sure to dip, swim or splash for Swim in Pink on Sunday and support breast cancer research. Registration, just €25, with all the monies raised going to the National Breast Cancer Research Institute. To register, go to swimpink.ie and you'll receive a free Swim in Pink swimming cap. Okay, which wouldn't be much use to me, but it will be much use to many people out there. Kevin, how are you getting on? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Traffic around Letterkenny, what say you?
Total disaster.
Okay.
We, as a county, as a town, there is only one project that they've got right, and that is up around the boys' school and girls' school, that one-way system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I went out yesterday at about 11:15. I was heading up the north, and I got to come out from the Milton Road, going left out the Derry Road.
Mm-hmm.
And got to the traffic lights, were on red. Then we got a green. But the cars to my right-hand side couldn't go anywhere because the wee holding pens that's on that roundabout were already full with cars waiting to get a red 10 yards away from their first red set of lights. So I went on, and from the post there right out to the Bunny roundabout was bumper to bumper on both lanes. Now, I heard a guy on saying everything was clear. It wasn't clear. It was bumper to bumper.
But, Kevin, yesterday was the first full day of those lights. They have to be calibrated. They have to move wee sensors around to gauge the traffic. There's teams out there that will be there for the next 2 weeks trying to refine it. Shall we wait and see how it goes?
Shall I just continue with my story?
Yes, if you have 2 minutes, but go ahead, Kevin.
All right. My story is very simple. We set up the Polestar roundabout as it wasn't the Polestar then, it was the roundabout, the Port Bridge roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
We spent a fortune on it. We put a Polestar thing on it, like great, called it the Polestar. Spent an absolute fortune on it. Now we spent an absolute fortune on traffic lights. And if we have traffic lights there on a crossroads, which it is a crossroads, right, we have no need for a roundabout. The roundabout is only a hazard now in it. I've been in, and you have, everybody's been in bigger cities, bigger towns, where there's a dual carriageway going straight ahead and a whole crossing the dual carriageway, and there are lights and everything works perfect. We've got 2 lanes coming into 1 lane. Coming in from the Derry Road, going up to the Port Road, is 2 lanes going into 1, right? You have a left turn, you have a right turn, but over the Needle Drainage Road, out there, Melton Road, which everybody's well aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Take away your roundabout and put a set of box junction and sensitive cameras there, so that if any of the boys that jump the red lights are caught and fined.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. There's no this whole thing of hold me in a pen that isn't big enough.
Yeah.
You know, that who come up with that kind of logic? If you get a green light, you should be able to go on the way you're going with that green light, not go 10 yards and be held up, and then you're blocking up the whole thing again because nobody can get away.
Yeah, okay, I get your point.
That's totally unbelievable how this town can make a mess of everything.
All right, Kevin,
As I
listen,
said,
thank you for...
only
Unfortunately,
one
we're
project.
right... Yep, go ahead. There's the one around the schools there.
That's the school.
Okay.
That's the only one. I'll give them a pat in the back for that, but everything else is a disaster.
All right, Kevin, listen, thank you very much for that.
This winter, be ready. Visit winterready.ie. From flooding, storms, snow and freeze to fallen trees, winter is hard to predict. Find out how to protect yourself, your home, farm, business and the elderly on the Office of Emergency Planning website, winterready.ie, or follow us on Twitter at emergency.ie, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Tá séisiúr an lúling, agus cégur féidir le duine bit an flua all, déadach sé a bheith ina hinnas trom chúiseach de leanaí. Scapan vírus an lú go héasca ó gine go duine. Sinné an fá gur féidir le leanaí idir 2 agus 2 vaccine flu a oil séir an asca inis. Tugtar trí spray sróine agus cuireann sé cosant chomhálta agus éfachtach an bhlú ar fáil, mar sin ná bhíoh ein bhfuil ort. Cur cuinis ar an asca in áire le de gugtar tailig nó le de chogaseoir agus cosant de chailig an bhlú. Tuile ólis ar hsc.ie.
With only a few paydays to go until Christmas, discover a new way of shopping this year at McElhenny's. The McElhenny's Layaway Club is perfect if you want to pay in for your favourite products or gifts. Available in-store and over the phone. Spread the cost of Christmas with McElhenny's.
Donuts, freshly made to order, are now available at Smokes and Grills in Letterkenny. At the end of your meal, the end of the day, the end of the week, because really, there's never a bad time. Mouth-watering, fresh donuts with a selection of sauces to sit in or take away at Smokes and Grills. Also, great for a special party treat. Indulge yourself today with freshly made donuts in the new Smokes and Grills at Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny.
We're inviting you to our 241 open weekend at iMotors. Join us from the 20th to the 22nd of October, Friday, Saturday and Sunday to test drive a range of Kias and Nissans. With finance rates as low as 3.9%, come and see how affordable a new car can be. Free service plans and many more offers. This is not to be missed. Check out imotors.ie for opening times. We look forward to seeing you.
Hello, Buncrana. Carrickdon is coming to town. New mega store opening Friday at 11 a.m. VIP guests, discounts, giveaways and more. Join the opening party at Carrickdon this weekend. More info at carrickdon.com.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to lower prices, so no scares this Halloween, like the Tesco Pumpkins range from €1.99. Selected Haribo and Swizzles packs were €7, now €5. Plus selected Cadbury treat-size sharing bags were €3.55, now €2. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Products subject to availability. Prices may vary in express stores.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth has confirmed that 66 asylum seekers due to be housed in Buncrana have been transferred to another county. In response to Councillor Jack Murray, Department spokesperson said they have been made aware of issues which arose in Donegal. Earlier this week saw protests in Buncrana against the arrival of the 66 men who were to be housed in a 19-room building in the town. Well, assurances have been given that there will be a review of how the housing of asylum seekers is handled by government in Donegal. Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin met with Minister Roderick O'Gorman last evening to discuss the growing concerns in the county over the housing of asylum seekers. He stressed the need for consultation with the local community, health services and schools. A South Donegal deputy has said that politics has become the blind pursuit of personal advancement at any cost. Deputy Mark McSharry announced this week that he will not contest the next general election. He was first elected to the Seanad in 2002 and as a TD in 2016. President Michael D. Higgins is in Rome today for a private audience with Pope Francis. It will be the fourth time the pair have met following meetings in both the Vatican and at Ars Nocturon. The topics of climate change, food security and global peace are on the agenda for the President and the Pontiff. The Minister of State with responsibility for mental health and older people has been told that the traveller community has been let down by government as a promised national traveller mental health strategy has still not come to fruition. Donegal Senator Eileen Flynn raised the issue with Minister Mary Butler in the Seanad this morning. She told the Minister that much more needs to be done. Police in Derry are investigating a pipe bomb attack last night as a possible sectarian hate crime. A woman in her 20s was inside a house in Heron Way when the device partially exploded at the back door at around 11:30. She wasn't injured, however damage was caused to the door. And Uisce Éireann is advising that repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to parts of Letterkenny today. Works commenced last night to repair the burst and are expected to continue until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Disruptions may be experienced in Kiltoy, Glebe, Loughnagin and surrounding areas. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
All right, Michaela, thank you very much indeed.
Why shop at Aldi? That's easy. Aldi's been voted the best family-friendly supermarket by parents in Ireland, Ireland's most sustainable supermarket, and the most reputable supermarket by Irish shoppers. Aldi has also just bagged another 46 Bloss Awards, been crowned Drinks Retailer of the Year, awarded 63 Star Awards at the Great Taste Awards, and picked up Ireland's first ever Diamond Award at the International Taste Institute Awards for some of our Irish specially selected steaks. So many awards for one supermarket. Aldi, every day amazing.
All right, can I be speaking to Pat McArt shortly. He's going to be in studio with us talking about his memoir, which is being published now. A very interesting man, no doubt, as you all know. No doubt you all know. And looking forward to a chat there. But first, Councillor Michael McBride, independent in the Letterkenny Milford electoral area. Good morning, Michael. Oh, sorry, wrong lineup. Michael, you've been speaking to two engineers about the traffic and its situation. What are they telling you?
Well, I suppose, Greg, with the new traffic lights turned on at the Polestar roundabout and out the Port Road yesterday, and everybody was kind of waiting to see what effect it would have on traffic flow. And we wake up this morning, I went into work, and I had a few work colleagues that came in behind me. One travelling from the Derry side told me that the traffic was backed up almost to Manor Village, and another one who came down from Lismonaghan told me it took them a half an hour to get from their house to work, which is probably about a mile as you would walk by road, So we have a serious problem. I raised it at the last municipal meeting about the gridlock in the town, and I think it's totally unacceptable, that people are coming in there in the morning to go to work for appointments. People get into schools, and everybody, you can leave and say, I'll try to be there 10 minutes earlier, or I'll allow myself 10 minutes earlier. But the one lady told me that it took her 1.5 hours to get from the Golf Course Road into town from 5 to 6:30 earlier this week.
Yeah, and we've been hearing loads of stories like that there. But what are they telling you? What is the problem, and what makes you think that this gridlock will lift?
Well, I'm certainly not suggesting it would lift. I'd rather be suggesting that the local county councillors need to meet with the TAI to try and see is there any other measures we can put in place to try and speed up the traffic or to reduce the amount of traffic into town. And
but Michael, we have to deal with what we have to deal with. Literally yesterday, a whole set of traffic lights was switched on the busiest roundabout in the county. Like, can we talk about that? Has that? Do the engineers believe that's having an impact on? Like, in other words, people are saying that they're not moving now as well as they did before the Polestar traffic lights were on. About before we talk about park and ride and getting traffic off our roads, we have to deal with the here and now and people getting to work or the hospital tomorrow. Have you been told anything as it relates to what impact the lights have had on traffic? Will that get it better? What's the situation?
Greg, I went through that roundabout 3 times yesterday myself, and I do acknowledge that at that time traffic was moderate in the town. It was hard to judge by that what effect it was going to have. Now this morning, I went through it going from the Neil T. Blinny Road on out through heading for Ballyreen. I got through there not too bad, but I could see when I was going through there that the traffic stealed all the way back out the Port Road again. I've been told by the engineer that the company who have installed the traffic lights are still there and they're still tweaking them to try, to make them work as efficiently as they possibly can. And my own opinion is, and I hope I'm wrong on it, but I think that the roundabout might be too small for traffic lights. But anyway, we'll have to try and monitor this.
Did you ask
forward,
anyone the logic in switching on traffic lights on the county's busiest roundabout whilst the dual carriageway approaching to Letterkenny was down to 1 lane? Again, I am not a
that was a point.
I'm not. I don't want to sound like a smart arse or whatever. But why switch on a new traffic system, control system like that, when one of the busiest approaches into Letterkenny is down to a single lane? I would love to know the logic there.
Yeah, that was a question that I asked this morning myself. I says, whenever we turned on the lights, people are going to be really monitoring that to see what kind of an effect it will have on traffic flow going and to Letterkenny in particular in the morning time, and to have the road works going on. I was told, that the funding for the road works that's going on at the dual carriageway came at the 11th hour, and it's work that had to be done.
Yeah, but we could have deferred switching the lights on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that would have been something that, as far as I'm concerned, that would have made absolute sense to do. But I still have to think to myself, what about the traffic that has already passed? Where it's reduced to 1 lane. I mean, the fact is that you still have the 2 lanes from the Dry Arch roundabout to the Polestar roundabout, and the traffic's still backed up.
You see, the thing about it too is another thing that I can't understand, Michael, and please shed some light on this for me if you can. How can you calibrate those lights correctly now over the next week or two when traffic is being filtered onto the 4 lanes? Do you get where I'm coming from, right? So they're adjusting those lights, and one of the main arteries into Letterkenny is on a single lane. So how can they be calibrated correctly when the dual carriageway becomes then a 2-lane carriageway again?
That's a very good question, Greg. And what you're saying is that you're not getting a true flow. The traffic is not flowing as it will once the dual carriageway into 2 lanes. So you've got a group of guys, and I use that of covering both genders. You have a group of guys there twiddling with the lights, moving sensors around, and then when the work is finished on the access from the dual carriageway, I presume the traffic has to behave somewhat differently. So are they wasting I would imagine
their time?
so. That's a good point. And to be fair about it, I've been thinking about this last number of days, and I would have assumed that, there would have been traffic counts done by the company putting in the traffic lights, and that they would have been able to model their traffic counts through a computer system to try and get the optimum, times for switching on and off lights, or for them to, to start and stop. But look, I suppose everything in reality is that it's not working this morning anyway.
Now, one of the big complaints is one of the big complaints we're getting from listeners as well is traffic being stopped on the roundabout. The roundabout is not big enough, so an awful lot of people are reporting to us that they can't move when lights are green because the traffic, the roundabout is not big enough to accommodate traffic stopped on the roundabout. I can't see how that square can be circled.
Well, that actually happened to myself yesterday, Greg. I went through the roundabout, going out to Kiltoy, and when I was on my way, on Tuesday, and when I was on my way back in again, the lights were actually commissioned, and when I got the green light to go, got into the lane to go onto the Blinny Road, there was a car that was half in the lane on my right-hand side and half in my lane, so I couldn't get through there. So that is happening. And people, tell you that people have to get used to using it. But at the end of the day, when the light's green, you're going to go forward. And it looks like there's not enough room on the roundabout to accommodate the cars that are getting onto it. And they do block the lane opposite them. So I've experienced that myself. That is 100% correct.
Okay. We need to seriously, and I know a lot of work's been going on amongst you and your colleagues about alternatives. A bus hub, park and ride, all that type of stuff, a proper bus service around Letterkenny. But I mean, we don't have time to talk about that, Michael. It's been well talked about on this. Of course, we all recognise that needs to be done, but we're also talking about it an awful lot. We are talking about it like ring roads and bridges and stuff. I feel for the people on the back roads of Letterkenny that now have thousands of cars passing their front doors as everyone tries to find their way around the traffic. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the old Derry Road, in particular, there's a lot of traffic using that road now that hadn't been in the past. The Lake Road is another one right down into the old town, and that kind of filters right out into people trying to get into the town from Lismona and Ran out towards Rockhill, the whole lot out there. So, it is the problem is really affecting traffic right round the town. It's not only at the Port Bridge. So, and there's a lot of HGVs and stuff coming in over the Old Town Bridge, and God forbid if anything ever happened there. I don't know what kind of a mess would happen.
And also what we need to, what I'd be very interested into, and I'm not an elected rep, and maybe it's information you can find out now. I presume we have some estimate of traffic. Like, the traffic, I think most people would agree around Letterkenny is worse now than it has ever been. Are more cars on the roads now, or are we managing traffic worse? Because there's been introduction of little relief roads, access roads, extra traffic lights, more traffic lights now in the Polestar. They're talking about more traffic lights on other roundabouts now as well, right? So we really need to sort of say, like, are there the traffic's worse now than it was? Are there more cars on the roads now, or are we just managing it worse? Or, is it disproportionately busy? Because people coming across the mountaintop are experiencing huge delays there as well. It's got worse for them. Is there a knock-on effect? What's going to be done for those people who never see the Polestar roundabout but feel the effects maybe of traffic gridlock there? Like, we need a proper assessment of what are we doing, and is it improving things or making things worse, Michael? And I think that's really valuable information if we could try and ascertain that.
I would agree with you, Greg. My own suspicion is that if the volume of traffic coming into town has increased, a large increase in it over the last 10 or 15 years. If we look at the hospital,
not 10 or 15 years. I think, sorry to cut across, Michael, I think I'm on about the last three, 2019 versus today, not 50. I mean, obviously, listen, the whole county's population's exploded, but I mean, like 2019 versus 23, that would be two comparable years. And the data is there. TII have a lot of data. I might actually be able to go through it myself, but just to ascertain, is there more traffic in 23 than 19? There definitely is worse traffic in 23 than 19. So if it's not more traffic, or even if it's slightly more, is it proportionate to the traffic congestion that we're seeing now? Or are we making things worse in trying to make it better? And maybe that work has been done, but I think even if the public were able to find that out and we said, look, we're dealing with 15,000 extra cars a day, well, at least then we're all part of the problem. The road can't be cleared for us individually, but we need that info, I think, as a public, so we can really sort of deal with it. Because, it's Letterkenny's going to pay the price in terms of the business community and everything else. I spoke to someone yesterday, Michael, and they messaged me on social media. They have a good job in Letterkenny, and they were going home, they said, to work on their CVs to try and get a job outside Letterkenny because they could no longer take the traffic in and out of Letterkenny. That was one person. I'm not saying that's going to happen, a lot, but that's the kind of life decisions people are making off the back of what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Greg, and I do believe that the amount of traffic coming into town has greatly increased. But, I'm sure there are 400 or 500 extra people working in the hospital, since before COVID, and that's only one example of one employer in Letterkenny. So, we have to look at it. But I agree with you 100%. We have to look at all the statistics, look at everything, and try and see if there's anything that we can do to try and improve the flow of traffic in Letterkenny, because there's no doubt business people are going to hurt coming up to Christmas time. If we don't get the problem sorted or solved in some way, people are going to choose to go other places. And you've also got employers, that are sitting there and they're going to be thinking to themselves, our workers are continually coming in late. They might start to consider, is this a place we need to be doing business?
Okay.
And the other thing is, You know, like you've all these appointments in the hospital, and we always hear, you know, about how many thousand appointments have been missed during the year. It'd be frightening how many people in this county have tried to make their way to Letterkenny for medical appointments that ended up being late and maybe didn't get there in time for them to get seen.
For now,
so we have to take all these things into consideration.
Yeah, all right. For now, Councillor McBride, thank you very much indeed. We look forward to getting some of that info. Okay. That gentleman, after talking Kevin about the lights instead of a roundabout's talking 100% right. The engineers, whoever makes these decisions, never fail to amaze me. Can they not just look at the way other big towns do it? Hi, Greg. Traffic backed out to the hotel, Clanry, I presume, at 10:15 to the Polestar roundabout. Too small for what they planned. Well, that's 10:15. That's outside rush hour, isn't it?
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring biggest ever sale. Up to 50% off everything in store. All tiles, all wood flooring, all outdoor slabs, cladding and bathware. Everything slashed in price. This sale is not to be missed. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring biggest ever half-price sale extended until Sunday.
Are the signs of aging creeping up on you? Are you not happy with the way you look or feel? At Letterkenny Medics Private Clinic, we're here to help you, offering Botox anti-wrinkle injections, derma fillers, skin bio injections, Botox treatment for grinding and clenching teeth, hyperhidrosis that aids excessive sweating. Let our doctors help bring back your confidence and look after what is important to you. To see what real results really look like, book your immediate appointment with no waiting time at letterkennymedics.ie. Letterkenny Medics, we listen if you want to talk.
Enhance your skills with SafeTech's part-funded training programs. At SafeTech, we provide courses including first aid, roadworks, people moving and handling, confined spaces, electrofusion and machinery training for Ireland and UK sites. Also online programs such as water hygiene, construction supervisors, safety reps and much more. If you have a group for training, SafeTech will go to you. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie and take the first step towards upskilling and safety compliance.
Níl éon rud níos láidre ná an dáibh idir hiblíní na cóchuimh ní ile sin na hédaí córínse, ardan córínse commartas árán uirfíse, rudaí idir hiblíní tasat. Go dtí go near duine agaí gur féidir le go ná éilí ar bith fearas gás a Iesu, agus bristar an dáibh go jo. Bhí mar leag sa gás sin nach rá. Ní rá. Go má. Úsáid sútálaí gáisiún chlórithe I gúnlaí, nó de tá gach rud a chur am mhail. Amsí sútálaí ag rgi.ie.
The effects of personal debt problems often go beyond just financial. What we don't want to face can cause us to unravel. Stress eats at you, relationships unwind. It can feel like life's falling apart, but support is available. Get back on track with the Insolvency Service of Ireland, an independent organisation that helps untangle personal debt problems. See backontrack.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:19 coming on for 20 past 11, and really pleased to have in studio with us Pat McArt, who's the author of his memoir, War, Peace and the Derry Journal. Pat, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. It's really great to have you in studio.
Thanks very much, Greg.
So where does this book sit? You didn't want to necessarily write specifically about individual characters, though, or political figures, though you could. It's not an autobiography as such, but it covers your life. So where does this book sit then?
That's good. No, Greg, I had a simple rule when I started. I said, right, if I couldn't remember it, I wasn't going to write about it. So it's a memoir, and that's and it's all the stories of my life. Now, while it's called War, Peace and the Derry Journal, about I'd say a third of it's set in Donegal or from stories from Donegal. Like I am from Letterkenny. I grew up here. I went to St. Eunan's, and after St. Eunan's, I ended up at Letterkenny RTC as it was known then, and I could see. The people there were sort of underwhelmed by my Leaving Cert results in the sense that I failed maths and my Irish wasn't that great. But anyway, I ended up doing business studies. I was going on for an accountancy, And as you, Greg, you know me reasonably well, you'd know I'd be the world's worst accountant. So anyway, Sean
doesn't stop many others.
That's for sure. I was there, and anyway, very strange thing. Patsy McGonigal, who's a contributor to this place, Patsy was the PE teacher out at the RTC at the time, and he wrote a column for the Derry People. And he was chatting to, this is how circuitous my life goes. He was chatting to Sean Curran, who ran the Derry People at the time, and Sean says, we're looking for a young reporter, a cub reporter. And Patsy was very friendly with a guy called Jerry Doherty, who I believe who did qualify as an accountant, and I think he works for De Beers somewhere in America or somewhere.
Probably much wealthier than you and me.
A hell of a lot wealthier than I am. So Jerry wasn't interested in being a cub reporter, but he knew I was, because I had been editing the student magazine. And so to cut the chase, Jerry came to me and says, hey, Patsy's on about somebody, there's a paper looking for a reporter. He says, I don't want the job, but he says, I think it might suit you.
Yeah.
So I joined the Derry People, and I spent, basically 6 years there with Sean Curran and so on. And it was the best, Greg, without question, it was the greatest experience.
But there was obviously something in you that was motivated by what was happening at the time, or the search for, the search for truth, or wanting to get stories out there. Did you see that in yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You were already playing that in the college then?
Absolutely. Well, it also helped. I was good at about three things: English, economics, and history. That's what got me honours on.
Perfect.
So that was, I should have really been going there. But I worked with Sean, but the other thing, Greg, just running parallel with that was the troubles in the north were really at full swing. I started in 74, and the Derry People. The troubles in the north were really, and 20 miles up the road from me, it was. I grew up in Letterkenny, 20 miles up the road in Derry. There was British Army, or there was RUC, there was the B Specials, there was John Hume, there was Martin McGuinness, there was Bishop Daly, there was Bloody Sunday. There was all this going on. There was the world's media there.
It was the epicentre.
It was the epicentre, yeah. It was absolutely. And that fascinated me. And after, you see, what happened then was Sean Curran, Letterkenny took off like a rocket at that time economically, because Courtaulds, as it was then, came in and they promised, I think it was between 600 and 800 well-paying jobs. The RTC came in, and there was X number of students, I can't remember, 300 or 400, 500, all of a sudden. And Letterkenny, which had been a backwater town before that, suddenly took off. You could have literally had your dinner on the middle of the street on some days, because there was no traffic. There was no. Look at it today.
Yeah.
It's a totally different place. But that was the background. And in 1974, on June 10th, 1974, I joined the Derry People, which is the Donegal News now.
Were you in any way cautious about moving to Derry at that time? Were there any in your family saying that, it's there's an awful lot going on there?
Let me put that in context. I left the Derry People and went to RT. Got a job in RT.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the local boy getting a job with the big national broadcaster? My mother and father were very happy about it, and so on. But anyway, I was, my dear Mrs. Rosie, we were in RT for about a year, and she says, hey, look, we have to go to my aunt's 50th and uncle's 50th wedding anniversary in Carndonagh, and we were in Dublin at the time, and she says, look, it's not we are half it to go, it's not going to be your choice, we're going to it. So we drove down all the way down from Dublin, went to Carndonagh, went to this thing, and Larry Doherty, who was the chief photographer with the Derry Journal, I had known Larry, and I was sitting having me dinner, and he came over and started chat, and he says, how do you like Dublin? I says, so, and he says, hey, there's a job coming up in the Derry Journal, etc., etc. Now, I said, I might be, and he says, look, I'll let you know. So, he said, the deal is they're looking for a chief reporter, but he says, what they're really looking for is an editor. So I basically said, I took note of it and so on. And anyway, when the advertisement appeared, Larry rang me up and he says, hey, look, you should apply for this. Now, I don't think I applied for it, but I sent off a letter to Colin McArt at the time, who was the sort of general manager of the Derry Journal. And then fast forward about 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in the Dáil, and one of the uniformed guys there come up and tap me on the shoulder, and he says, look, there's a guy from the Derry Journal on the phone in the Dáil press room looking for you. So I went up, and Colin's first words were, you're a hard man to get. So and he says, the next time you're down, come and talk to me. So I came down, and I went in, and I talked to Colin, And I took the job. But my mother's famous first words were shades of John McEnroe. When I told her I was moving to Derry, she says, you can't be serious.
Right.
No, leaving RT, going back to going into Derry. At that time, the hunger strikes were on. There were shootings, there was bombings, and she thought you're going to end up getting yourself killed. Because that was the perception.
And you were working in news, and you were working in news, which, it's tough now, but you've got different people with different views reading it. Different interpretations. It's risky, and we've seen the risk.
Oh, absolutely. Over the years, you do get the odd threat. Like I can't even repeat the language on there. They stand outside me one day telling he would effing kill me.
Yeah.
There's I've got on the phone, like, Greg, there was shootings and there was all that sort of stuff, and you were right in the middle of it. And of course you were dealing with the big beasts. Like John Hume was the man of the century. He was the top politician in Ireland. I actually saw him in my office one day. He rang Ben Bradley of the Washington Post. He was able to get through, and he was on first name terms with presidents and prime minister. And that was. I remember one week he rang me on, I think, the Monday. He rang me from America John always wanted the lead story, so he wanted the lead story in the Tuesday Journal. On the Wednesday, he rang me from Brussels, and on the Thursday, he rang me from Westminster. John ended up with dementia, and I would wonder, all that travel on the compressed air on an airplane, I wonder how much that I do, because the man was...
How much he travelled.
Absolutely.
Just in relation to your move back from Dublin to Derry, what motivated you to do that? Because, there is sort of like a pathway, isn't there, where you start somewhere, then you move there, and eventually you're heading, you want to go national. You had got that move.
Yeah.
You were in the heart of democracy in the Dáil and what have you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So... box tick. You got to spend 40 years doing that.
Yeah.
So, but what was it that swung the move back to Derry?
I was fascinated by the troubles in the north. There's no doubt about it. And
did you feel you had a job to do?
I'm not, Greg. I really can't answer that question. I got to admit, the day of Bloody Sunday, we had gone. My father and my brothers, we had gone to, believe it or not, a match at Finn Park. On the way back, my dad had on the radio. And it just started coming in about 4 o'clock. There were shootings and the Derry and all. We came home that night, and we sat, the whole family, nobody moved. My dad switched from RTE to BBC to UTV, and we listened to that coverage. And for some reason, almost by osmosis, it seeped into me. But I have to tell one other thing. My father was... an absolute news junkie. When he got up in the morning, he would put on RT, and then he would put on, before he left, he'd put on the headlines. He used to go to work at 8 o'clock. He'd have on the headlines. Back in those days, he was able to get home for lunch, and he would put on the 1 o'clock news on RT, and then he'd put on the 6 o'clock news, and then the 9 o'clock news. In the morning, he would buy the Irish Press, and in the evening, he'd buy the Evening Press. And Sunday, he used to buy the Sunday Independent, the Sunday Press, and later on the Sunday World. Now, my mother didn't like the Sunday World too much, but we'll not go into that. But for various reasons.
Imagine why.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the thing. The first morning I was supposed to be doing training in RT, I went down to the sub-editor's desk, and the chief sub says, right, Pat, here, write the story and we'll see how you get on. I wrote the story, and he says, gone ahead. And I says, why? He says, you don't need to. And I didn't realise. Now, I was no genius, don't get me wrong. But I had been listening to so much RT that I knew their style.
Yeah,
I didn't need to be trained.
Amazing.
Because there was a couple of other people, and they took them all week to get into the style.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote one story and says, no, you can go ahead.
Now, the way I sort of framed the RT experience was that it was the centre of, you're in the Dáil, the centre of where decisions are made for the Republic, and RTs. And on first listen, it might have sounded like I was talking of moving back to Derry as a backward step, but I don't believe that, because that was where the news was.
Yeah.
You were at the heart of the news, and actually feeding news into BBC, into RT, because the paper of record for Derry, they'd be saying, well, what's in that?
Yeah.
Quoted in courts, I'm sure, seen as the record of on the ground.
Yeah.
So really, in a way, it was a huge advancement of your career in returning to Derry secondary at that time to that paper.
Absolutely. I was dealing first hand now with people who were centre stage. You know, like Hume, as I said earlier, was the man. Without quite like the Americans, the first person they rang, Ted Kennedy. Hume was his go-to person for advice in Northern Ireland. Kennedy introduced then Hume to Tip O'Neill, who was the Speaker of the House. Reagan, apparently Ronnie Reagan, after a first meeting with Margaret Thatcher, and as they were closing their books, and apparently one of the first things he said to her was, "And what are you going to do for my friend Johnny Hume?" You know, that's the influence. The claim was that when many other people were been showing in the back door of the White House, Hume could go in the front door.
Yeah.
And
was that a two-way relationship? Because you talked of John Hume ringing you up and saying, "Look, I'd really like the lead on this one," but that works in another direction. He's got some contacts book, hasn't he? Did that work to your advantage?
Yes and no. Like, by the way, I never quite got the St. John, and he was a brilliant man and all that, but he could be prickly. He could be hard.
See, when you really, really know people, you know, when you have a relationship that goes, it's a little bit closer because you're from the same area-ish. You know the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit different, I think, when you know someone a bit better than the rest of the world might.
Exactly. There's, I want to put it on the record. John was the architect of the whole piece. Absolutely. But he, this St. John one that I read about, John could be very difficult to deal with. Now, he was under a hell of a lot of pressure and all the rest, but he also, and he was a genius, like he had a brain the size of a planet and so on, but he expected, almost like you were some sort of acolyte, that when he spoke, you should listen. You weren't. I think he thought you should sort of follow unquestioningly, and like as my dear brothers will tell you, I'm not quite that type of person. I feel I'm entitled to my own views.
But I'm sure you are very much respected above other people for that, because people in power kind of respect that, don't they?
But then you had, of course, like Martin McGuinness. Who, if Hume was young, Martin McGuinness was young. Like Hume was sort of the peace man, and Martin was allegedly the war man. So there you go, Greg.
So in terms of, particularly when you became editor of the newspaper, how did you present the news? Because I referenced a little earlier on that there's, you could have the army reading it from one perspective, you could have the Protestant community from another perspective, the Republican community from the Loyalists, and different eyes on the same story. So what was the editorial policy? How did you present your stories so that you didn't feel like you were excluding any particular group?
Greg, that's I have to say that's a brilliant question, because that was one of the first problems I ran into. Before I arrived before I met Frank Corn, Frank was of the old nationalist tradition and so on, and a brilliant man too. He was very good, but the paper was very traditional. And the hunger strikes were on, and I remember chatting to people, and I could see things were changing. So I started, but the traditional thing in the Derry Journal was, if it wasn't John Hume, it was Bishop Edward Daly, and if it wasn't Bishop Edward Daly, it was maybe the mayor and so on. And I started putting in statements from Martin McGuinness, and I started putting in statements from Gregory Campbell and any of the DUP and so on. And I remember one day I'd reached ahead one and says, "You're turning this paper into sort of like the unpublic because you're publishing other people's statements." But at that stage, Sinn Féin were getting about 30% of the vote on the big house. I remember one reporter said, "Pat, there's them and us." And I thought, in terms of the North, she meant Catholics and Protestants. Yeah. That wasn't what she was referring to at all. She was referring to the fact that there's what they call the Culmore set, and then there's the people who lived in places like the Bogside and the Craigan. Now, it's generalisation, but that's what she meant was the Culmore Catholics were the Catholic people who were nice, middle class, the doctors, the lawyers, and she says, they don't speak for us. The British Army weren't raiding their houses, they're raiding our houses, they're not. Yeah. So there was a dichotomy there, then, which a lot of people... The Catholic community just wasn't sort of homogenous. There was a lot of different views.
Was the balanced approach a red line for you?
Yeah.
Clearly, obviously, because you maintained that.
Yeah, I got into a fairly big row with the proprietors, the directors, and I said, "Look, here's this." And I was, by the way, I was very nervous about it. I was only in the job about a year, and here was a young editor telling the people who owned it, "I am changing everything." And I said, "Look, here's the rule. as far as I'm concerned. It's the best story every week. I don't care, or every edition, I don't care whether it's from Sinn Féin, the DUP, SDLP, or whatever. The rule is it's the best story.
Did you have to change a culture then within the newsroom?
Yes, but Frank F.E. McArt, the proprietor, it was a brilliant man. He was. I kept saying, but he was really, and he looked after me. He says, right, Pat, as long as I can stand up and anybody rings in this door or anybody that comes on to complain, that's the best story that's in each edition. That's our lead story, irrespective of where. He said, I will support you all the way, and he did.
Wow. Not that it is really how you test the success of something, but the new approach, did it have an impact one way or other on circulation?
Absolutely. Well, a couple of things happened as well. Along came Derry City into the League of Ireland. But the Tuesday paper doubled circulation.
Wowzers.
The Friday went from something like 1920 up to about 27. And at one stage, I remember, on a couple of occasions, about 29,000 papers sales on a Friday. Now, that was special occasions. But it worked very well. The Derry Journal was actually at one stage earning more money than some of the nationals. And it was very, very influential. Greg, when you consider the fact that between Derry and Inishowen and we parts of Donegal, a paper was selling 29,000. Like, you look any paper now, wouldn't get anywhere near that.
No, and you're probably pushing close to a national circulation there, I would suggest.
Yeah.
If you discounted returns. Stay with me. We're in conversation with Pat McArt. He's got, and we're going to talk more about the memoir, but it's just interesting to chat to Pat about his life experiences. His memoir is War, Peace and the Derry Journal, and we'll be talking more about how long he's been working on it and that process, and much more as well after we take this break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Easy Living Furniture's Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday. Absolutely everything reduced with up to 60% off sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses that are in stock and ready for delivery. With 0% interest-free finance available for up to 2 years and with no deposit, the decision is easy. Oktoberfest sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Terryland, Galway, Sligo Retail Park, Sligo and Brafey Road, Castlebar.
This Sunday, avoid the stresses and strains of cooking or cleaning up by pulling into Kelly's Diner for a bite to eat. After training, maybe out for a drive or meeting up, Kelly's have something to suit all tastes, from a full Irish to a full Sunday lunch, or something sweet from the packed dessert menu. Round off the weekend with a stop at Kelly's award-winning diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Are you building a new home? Building requirements state that you must install a radon barrier. At FF Radon Systems, we supply and professionally install the fully certified barrier. For more information, call them at FF Radon Systems on 086 833 2749.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. kateappleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
Don't miss the most heartwarming film of the year, The Miracle Club.
Congratulations, you're coming to Lourdes. You can't go. What'll I do on me own? Go back to bed.
Starring Laura Linney.
I'm in a place I swore I would never come back to.
Academy Award winner Kathy Bates.
I never hated you more than I loved you.
And Academy Award winner Maggie Smith.
Even when you don't believe, there's always hope.
The Miracle Club, in cinemas now. Rated 12A.
This autumn, Centra's cutting prices on hundreds of branded favourites across the store. Enjoy big discounts on Jacob's Tuck Original 100 gram was $1.99, now $1.50. And Nutella Spread 350 gram was $3.45, now $3.35. Whether you're topping up or stocking up this autumn, shop smart, feel good. Centra, live every day.
So, Pat, at the height of the troubles, you're living in, you're working in on a really important newspaper of the time, covering all the issues of the day. And then, of course, you're from Letterkenny, so you're coming down to Letterkenny as well. How different was Derry to Letterkenny, and how bizarre was it to sort of step from one environment into the other, yet them so close together?
It was day and night. It really was day and night. The first day, remember I was telling you my mother's famous one, "You can't be serious."
Yeah.
I remember one of the first days I drove up the Strand Road in Derry. I noticed, for some reason, all the street lights had been shot out. And I asked somebody what happened. She said the IRA shot them out so in the dark their active service units could move around. The hunger strikes were on, and every gable end had support the hunger strikers and all the. And I remember thinking, have I made the right decision here? And the other thing is, back then we had 2 kids. I remember a lot of weekends I would leave Derry. We were living in Derry, and I would move back out to Letterkenny and stay with my parents just to get away from it all.
Yeah.
And anyway, I remember one Sunday morning I got a call from one of the reporters, and she was really, really upset. Our lead story on Friday had been about a young fella who had gone up and he had confessed to being an informer. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she was really upset. His body was found. He had been executed by the IRA, and his body had been found not too far from her home. The thing was, she was the only reporter at the press conference where he admitted he was.
Yeah.
And she was really uptight. She says, we were sort of used to justify the execution of this young fella. Mm-hmm. So I remember I met a couple of senior Republicans, and I said, we will never, ever go to a press conference like that. We're not here to justify the execution. Yeah. That wouldn't have happened in Letterkenny, but that was the reality of life in Derry.
And just literally.
I remember we had, and one day we had a guy from the British Army in. We had John Human, and we had Martin McGuinness in, and I thought to myself, this wouldn't happen, in Galway or Kerry. It couldn't happen. He was the colonel from the British. It used to be funny. But a well-known Republican in Derry told me what used to happen was the British Army guy would come in, and there'd be 2 big Land Rovers come in first, and everybody would say, "Oh, that's the colonel arriving." But about 10 minutes later, this little sort of insignificant car would come in, and that was the colonel. In other words, they were watching their security.
Cloak and dagger.
But our Republican guy says, "Pat, we know the colonel comes in the wee car that's following." Wow. So that's how up to speed they were.
Unbelievable.
They knew exactly what was going on. But you had all sorts of people coming. I remember, Greg, we used to get. I remember there was a guy, a French guy. I often wondered afterwards, was he a secret agent or something? Because he used to come in regularly. But my best story about that, Greg, was I was sitting one day and there's this girl called Kathleen Green, if I remember her name. She worked for the American Embassy, and she rang me and she said, "Pat, can I bring this guy down to see you?" And she said, "On a Thursday?" And I said, "No, Kathleen, no way, absolutely no way on a Thursday." So that was, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and she rang again. She rang about 3 times, and the third time she was almost begging. She says, "Look, can I bring this guy down?" So she brings this guy down, and like he was straight out of Central Casting. He was about 6'4", teeth you could see your reflection in, blonde hair, and so on. And he wore those type of coats that the American Secret Service. So the guy sat down and he started asking me about Martin McGuinness, and he started asking, but I was so busy I wasn't paying attention, and so on. And he stayed for about an hour and a half. I actually had to say, "Look, you people have to go. I can't keep doing this." So because it was Thursday, because we had a paper. Anyway, the following Monday morning, Martin McGuinness came down, and I was chatting to him. And as we were getting up to leave, I said, "By the way, Martin, there's a guy from the American Embassy down here the last day asking a lot of questions about you." And he says, "Oh, Jesus, Pat, what did you say?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "That guy is from the CIA." And so on. Now, how Martin knew this, I don't know. Now, I remember the guy's name at that stage. I don't remember it now.
Understood.
What they were doing is Bill Clinton was checking out whether to give McGuinness and Adams visas to come to the States.
Oh, wow.
And your man was checking out whether the bona fides of McGuinness and Adams were worth giving.
Did he get the visa?
He got the visa.
Well, you didn't.
So that was my role in the peace process.
It really doesn't get the attention it deserves. Now, obviously, you can oppress people with bad news all of the time, right? And then eventually people can go, "I'm not picking up the paper because it's draining me," right? So was it a difficult process to balance light and shade with features, with talking about positive stuff, maybe featured articles or columns or what have you?
remember one day you'd need happy pills to read this paper because it was so depressing. It was bombs, shootings, court cases, and all the rest. And one day I remember thinking, I remember one Friday I was going through it, and I said, this is really, it was dark all the time, and why would you bother if you knew there was a bomb up a town that killed a couple of people? Why do you want to read the journal on Friday to tell you the same story?
Yeah.
So I had this idea one time. I was out walking one day, and I heard there was two teenagers, a boy and a girl, walking ahead of me. And the wee girl was definitely the brains of the outfit, without question. And anyway, they were slagging each other. And I remember she turned around and she said to him, when you were born, the doctor should have slapped your mother for bringing such an ugly kid into the... it was vicious, but it was really humorous. And I thought, wait a minute, the dairy people... the old joke in dairy, what's first prize is a week in dairy, the second prize is 2 weeks. And they had a great self-deprecating sense of humour. So I had this idea. I came up with this idea called the Jed column, and I deliberately put it on page 2 because our editorial was on page 2, and it was always serious. And I thought, right, here's a wee bit light and shade. And I remember the management the directors weren't sure about this because the Dairy Journal was quoted in Parliament, it was quoted in courts, it was quoted by academics.
Exactly what you're saying.
And this sort of
Do I do this? Does it trivialise that?
You got it.
I know,
Greg. You got it. And I thought it was dodgy. But anyway, I remember they were sort of saying, Paddy, you sure about this? And I didn't discuss it with them. I just put it in. Bottom line, it took off like a rocket. Dairy people just loved getting their name mentioned in Jet. Because it was interaction with the community. The only time anybody ever got mentioned in the Dairy Journal was either whether they were shot dead or in court.
Yeah.
The old joke about what do you call a dairyman with a suit, the defendant. Mm-hmm. All that sort of stuff. So suddenly here, we started doing a lot more features, and we tried to get away from the sort of the doom and gloom of the trouble.
And I suppose it was to reflect the community, to hold a mirror up to it, and that is light, shade, the humour, the dark humour, and all that kind of stuff. Time. I wish I had another hour. Is there a piece you wrote, an interview with someone, a moment that's easy for you to identify as a standout?
Yeah, Greg. Everybody says. The sort of triptych of, McGuinness, Hume and Bishop Daly. Nothing to do with us. One day, this wee woman came in to see me. She was called Peggy McFadden, and she was from Melbourne, Australia. She was sent out as a child migrant. On the way out, they took away sort of her birth certs and all the rest of it. They changed her name. She spent 50 years looking. She had one brother in this earth, and she spent her time looking for him. And the story, she came back in. Normally somebody would come in to see me and they'd get 10 minutes because it was so busy. She came in at about 11 o'clock one day, and the deputy editor was a girl called Siobhan Michaelini. She rang in about 3 times. Peggy was still there at 2 o'clock. She was been in but she told me the story that she spent 50 years looking for her brother. She came to Derry. She went to the Nazareth house. Nobody gave her any information. Anyway, the law changed in Australia, and she got an information where her brother was. And his name was, she said he was working on a farm by a people belonging to people called Daly in Ballybofey. So the only person she knew with that name was Bishop Daly. And so she wrote to Bishop Daly and said, Bishop, can you find this? This is my brother. I've been looking for him for 50 years. And he says, Bishop Daly says, yeah, of course. And he rang up the parish priest in Ballybofey. And the parish priest says, look, there's nobody here called Daly. And Bishop Daly, who was a totally decent man, says, wait a minute, Ballybofey. And he said Ballybay. So he rang the parish priest in Ballybay in Monaghan, and they asked, was there a Patrick McFadden working? He said, Bishop, there was, but he's dead. He died 2 years ago. Now, Peggy came in and told me the story, and she says, no, the real kicker, she says, when I was looking for my brother, she says, we were going to Dublin one day, and the bus they were in, or whatever it was, broke down. And they took everybody off the bus into this wee cafe, and where? Ballybay. And she said she sat for 2 hours, and she says, did my brother walk past me? Did he? And she said
she could have breathed the same air.
She says after she got the letter, she had a nervous breakdown. But there's a lot more to the story. And
is it in the memoir?
I mentioned her in the memoir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that could be a whole book on its own.
Yeah.
Listen, I've kind of got just to get access to you and just chat about your amazing career, Pat, and it is all really about the memoir as well at the same time, because much of that is contained within War, Peace and the Dairy Journal. 12 years ago you started this. Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long to get it out?
No, that was my fault. Kevin, Kevin O'Doherty was Kevin O'Doherty was the parish priest in Newton, and he was a friend of mine. And one day I met Kevin for a coffee, and we were sitting chatting like me and you were chatting now. And he says, "Pat, why don't you write all this down, before you forget it, type thing, and so on?" I says, "Right, Kevin." So I started work the following Monday morning. I worked till until about Thursday, and then I took a break for 12 years. So I don't know why. But I met Garvin Downey, who's of Columkill Press, and I met him one day, and he says, Garvin was subtle. He says, "Pat, write it all down before you get Alzheimer's." Yeah. So that was the, and then I said, wait a minute. Several people said, "Pat, even if nothing else, even if you don't publish it, why don't you leave it for your kids?" So, and that was the motivation then to do it. Yeah.
And it's kind of your memoir so far, because of course you still write for the paper, you still commentate on matters. You've got your podcast with Jude twice a week. Yeah. You're teaching with writing groups as well. So it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. So the journey that you take the reader on, is it similar to what we've been doing here? It's the highlights, the important parts, and you tell a lived experience, not just a working experience of War Peace and working in the paper.
Well, I started off with a guy called Sean Curran, and I want to put on the record here now. What I learned in journalism, I learned from Sean Curran, and I owe him everything. But I used to travel to the courts with Justice Larkin. You wouldn't do that now. No. And you'd end up in all sorts of areas. Like Larkin one day, I remember he made a total mess of a case, and when we got back into the car, he says, "Pat, what do you think of my judgment in that case?" And I said, Justice, you got that wrong, because one guy totally contradicted the other, and he didn't speak to me the whole way home. Then about a month later, he asked me, "What did you think of my decision in that case, Pat?" And I said, "Brilliant, Judge." And I was happy as
full of chat.
Full of chat. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I haven't got a hold of the book, so I'm kind of going off.
It won't be out until the first week in November.
Are you proud of it, Pat?
Absolutely. Greg, it took 12 years.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it. I don't know if proud's the right word, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. And as you on reflecting, those conversations you had, those relationships you had, the role you played in being a paper of record, which we don't see as much anymore, but we're not getting nostalgic. Did you miss it whilst you were doing it? And as you look back now, you realise, wow, okay, something really, really important happened. I was engaged and involved with really important things with really important people. I think sometimes when you're living it, you don't get it as much. Yeah. What was it like reflecting back on it all?
I don't remember who told me this, but I was told there's 3 jobs in Derry worthwhile: the MP, the Bishop, and the editor of the Derry Journal. And I never thought I'd be the third sort of cog in that, or the third leg of that particular stool. And see, when I retired, Greg, I really did miss it. There was an adrenaline thing of being involved in the Derry Journal. You were the centre of the universe. Like Garvin Downey, who's the publisher, as I mentioned earlier, he made the point there were silos. The British Army didn't talk to Sinn Féin. The Sinn Féin didn't talk to SLP. The SDLP didn't talk. Well, but they all talked to the Derry Journal. So you were getting it from every side. Yeah.
But that being said, the Derry Journal has to be established and run and edited in a way that keeps those lines of communications open, and often that's the real challenge.
That was the real challenge, but we went out. We had a rule: you left your politics at the front door, and we published every side, and we didn't, and we without fear. And Gregory Campbell, who was the DUP guy, was on regularly, and Wally Hay, who was a senior figure in the DUP, said that I actually said it on the record that the Derry Journal was one of the fairest papers they had come across, and I was very proud of it.
Well, I've about an hour of more questions that I don't have. It's been described, the book, as revealing an insightful memoir. McArt reflects on a life of devoted service to the people of the Northwest Ireland, recalling the triumph and the tragedies, the villains and the heroes. And it's out when?
I think it's the first week in November.
Okay, well, we'll make sure to remind people then. Stocking filler alert. Okay, thanks, Pat.
Thanks very much,
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much indeed. Back with the weather after these.
The eagerly anticipated brand new production of the Broadway smash hit musical Sister Act is on its way to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre in Dublin. Join Highland Radio as we make way to this unforgettable show on Friday 23rd of February 2020. 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star City North Hotel in Dublin, your ticket to the show and a shopping trip to Dublin City Centre. For more information, call Highland Radio on 074 91 25000 or visit highlandradio.com.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
The Coronas live at the Big Top Gidor at Fovar Festival 2023 on Bank Holiday Sunday, October 29th. Tickets €41.90. Visit fovarfestival.ie for tickets and shuttle bus information.
Autumn is here and so are the new arrivals at Green Shoes. Shop in store or online now from top brands like Doc Martens, Kate Appleby, Tommy Bow and Riker. Also New Balance, Wonders, Echo and many more. Shop LK and one for all gift cards accepted in store. Visit Green Shoes and discover the perfect footwear to complement your style. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com.
The Donegal Silage Competition with Homeland and Nutrius Animal Feeds is back for 2023 and entries are now open. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize is a €300 voucher and second prize a €200 voucher in each category. For full entry details, visit homeland.ie.
Go full Lidl this Halloween and fill your trolley without a nightmare price. Get all the treats without the tricks. Monkey nuts, 2 packs for €4. Carve costs on Irish pumpkins, prices from 99¢. And get 2 for €3 on scary jelly mix. Deadly. Go on, have a Halloween without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport, where you can now fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide, including Boston, New York and more.
Rain will gradually clear to the north during the day with some bright spells and a few showers developing. Highs of 13 to 16 degrees in moderate south-east winds. That's where we leave it on the show today. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning for Friday's show, kicking off with the Friday panel. Look forward to chatting to you then. Have a great Thursday. Stay tuned. John Breslin